Schubert.
Everything!
And the kitchen Cinco.
In 3, 2, 1.
I got a sticker from Dirty Pipes,
Yeah.
and I got a sticker from you.
You got my, I call it the presidential twat.
I have it in my notebook.
You like it?
I think, yeah, I like it. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't have to, but I do like it as a work of art.
What do you mean you don't agree with it?
It's not my style to physically ridicule.
Okay.
You know, but I find your art of work is in good taste. Like, I don't, you know what, just because I don't do it, it doesn't mean I can't, I don't respect it when other people do it.
I'm recording, by the way. I
That's
just started.
fine.
Yeah, so you would say you're like style of comedy. You don't ridicule. You don't do like body
Physically.
shaming.
No, well, no, of course not. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
What is body shaming?
I don't know, making fun of appearance. Be it a small penis, small hands, whatever it is that Trump, sets himself up for all the time. He's an easy target.
Well, any president is an easy target
Yeah.
as the president.
Right.
You know, you're kind of in a public eye and you have to make decisions that are not necessarily favorable to society. You
Right.
know? I think with this president, I think the difference is lying.
Yeah.
I think that's, if presidents before said a lie, we have criminals that have done that right throughout, American history. But it just seems like when it wasn't a criminal aspect, they believed that they were saying the truth at the time that, it turned out to be a lie or, whatever the end product came out. He's just saying a lie.
Yeah, he's just a blatant liar.
Yeah.
He knows it. He just says whatever he wants to say to get whatever he wants in the moment. Whether it's a reaction.
That's what it seems like, yes.
He loves getting reactions.
Well, we all like getting reactions. I'm a stand-up comedian. I like getting reactions more, I think, probably than him.
Yeah.
But it's. I'm not a president. I don't know, but I'm an intelligent person.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody else telling me he lies. They even admitted. The White House admitted.
Yeah.
That they lie.
Yeah. It's no secret. So, do you vote here?
Do I vote here? I'm American.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a right to vote as an American.
Are you a voter? Do you not like talking about that?
I don't discuss. I think it's private.
Yeah.
To each its own.
Yeah.
If you want to discuss it and you want to put it out there, it's
Right.
Up to you. My decisions are private. I tend to keep it as my private life. You know.
I respect that. So when you rolled up, I mentioned I just got back from Michigan.
Yes.
I was interviewing a Holocaust survivor, and I forget where we went with it, but what were we talking
Oh,
about?
that I.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in now it's independent country, Latvia, Riga. And when I was growing up, it was under Soviet regime, so Russian culture dominated most, everything pretty much. So it's kind of like you said you interviewed a Holocaust survivor, and I think I mentioned that where I'm from, everybody is a survivor, because that's where it happened. There's and I grew up around. I remember going to a concentration camp as a kid, It was kind of, and it was weird because I had the same airy feeling.
Airy? Or
Airy,
eerie? Yeah.
airy feeling when I lived in the South.
South of the
South,
United
American
States of
South,
America.
Louisiana, and it was, plantations were right there. The museums, though, just concentrate, but I just having, that's your history.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it like growing up there when you were there?
It's crap. It's a shithole.
That's why your family came here.
Well, yeah, we're Jews, so, Jews in Europe, do I have to say anything else?
No, if you
Any
don't
kind of
want to.
minority in Europe, do I have to say anything else?
Yeah. So when did you come here? How old were you?
We came here in 1989, and I was in my early teens.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 11, 10, something like that.
That's was that rough?
What?
Was that a hard transition?
I was a kid, so it's kind of different. I think it was rough for my parents because we're refugees, so we didn't like took a plane from where we lived here. We ended up going to Austria first, and then Italy, and living there like first refugee camps, and then coming to America. And that trip took about, I think, 3 to 4 years.
You were in refugee camps?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's a lot of people that I hear. Like people with, where I'm from, I think there's like 3 million of us in tri-state area. I think 2 million came like that.
Really?
Yes.
How many? You met, what, other Russians or just people from Latvia?
I think people from Soviet Union.
Soviet
The
Union.
Google creator, one of the Google creators, he took the same route.
I didn't know that.
Yes. There's a couple people that, like made it and so on. They went through the same thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that go through the same thing. Some people go through wars to come here.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy out there.
Yeah, when they talk about caravans, I kind of feel like, well, we were kind of a caravan, right? Like 3 million came within 10 years or something, not even.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it just came by planes, kept coming in since the
Yeah.
80s until I guess 93 or 94. So within 5 years, this whole, millions of us, they came.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny to me that they worry about 500 people crossing a border. That's a caravan.
Yeah. So, what was life really hard? Do you remember life being really hard when you were growing up over there?
I was a kid, so it's kind of, was my life hard? Yeah, sure. Every kid has a hard life. And then I personally, my character, I was born a New Yorker. Right? I have an attitude. I ask questions. I want, that I speak up. I say
You mean you were
the
like
truth.
that there?
Yeah, I was born like that. Yeah. I was literally born like that, and I didn't.
You're very much not afraid to speak your mind or ask
absolutely
questions.
correct.
Yeah.
And where I'm from, when I was born in the culture that I was born, that was a very wrong thing to do. Where everybody had to be the same. You don't really speak out. It's like more of a collective society opposed to an individual. And I was born an individual. So
were you getting in a lot of trouble, or
yes,
yes? And what happened when you got in trouble?
It's not even what happened when I got in trouble. I'm gonna tell you a story about my childhood. It's just for what I got in trouble and for what the repercussions were. Okay. So we were planning. My family was planning to immigrate. I didn't know anything until I became older. And Mom, I remember sequences, but not exactly what happened, right? So we were planning to immigrate. And it's not like, hey, I want to leave. It wasn't like that. You had to prove that you had relatives in Israel, and and we didn't know anything about it outside. There was we didn't have BBC. We didn't have any. My parents would catch BBC at night, I remember.
Really?
Yeah, in the dark kitchen.
Illegally?
Yeah. I mean, waves, but you weren't supposed to. It's you could literally die over that, listening to foreign radio.
Wow.
Or reading a foreign book.
Yeah.
Or knowing a language that, the Soviets didn't teach you.
Were they shielding you from it, or you were just too young to even be?
I don't think I even got, there was no concept of
Yeah.
I was saying, I had my own issues as a kid, so, there's no political aspect when you're 6 or 7.
Right.
You just, But this is what happened to me. So around 6 or 7 years old, my family received a package from Israel from our relatives, and there was a children's book there to teach you Hebrew. So, for 5-year-old, pictures and words underneath. And it was very colorful. I've never seen anything like it. It was very, very pretty, and we had it in the house. And I remember one day bringing it to school because I really liked it, because that's what kids do.
Yeah.
And I remember showing it to kids, and everybody, in class, would, oh, what is this? This is interesting. Nobody ever seen anything like it. And I remember my Russian teacher asking me for the book to take home, and she would bring the next day over. And I said, yeah, of course. It's my teacher. I trust her. What's the big deal? So I remember coming home that day, and my mom being frantic, she was looking for the book the whole day. And, I was going took it to school. What do you mean you took it to school? How could you take it to school? My mom was listening for footsteps all night until, next morning, thinking that people are coming to arrest my family.
For a children's book.
For a children's book.
Yeah.
But then there's more. This is just like how deep, generational, like messed up culture it is. So the next morning, my mom went to school and she was gonna plead to the teacher not to tell anybody and just give back the book and, like have it a big secret.
Right.
So when she was talking, my teacher was Russian, like Russian last name. She was teaching Russian language. She looked very stereotypically Russian. There was just, she was Russian.
Yeah.
And my mom came to her and she, she's like pleaded with her. So it turns out she wasn't Russian. She was actually a Jew. Like from Poland, and all of her family was killed, and she kind of got a new identity, a new last name, and like she told this to my mom, and I think it was also probably the first person she opened up to.
Really?
Yeah, and she just wanted it to hold something. Like to her, it was just like amazing that a kid of innocence just like bought this book. Like from she remembers reading Hebrew when she was a child, and so on. So yeah, that's how many levels of craziness is there?
So that's a good story then. I wasn't sure where it was going.
Right, you never do. You never know. In that country, you never know.
Right. Do you have any crazy stories that you remember or family members had to go through?
I remember when we were leaving, my classmates were calling me a traitor.
For leaving?
Yeah, like I remember being in school and I remember mom telling me and then say, you can't say to anybody. But I guess they told us already when everything was set in plan. So, then in a week she told us you could tell people, but by that time we were already packing. It's like, I think it was like a 6-year process. Like my parents went through, yes.
Yeah.
So I remember that. I remember being called a traitor. Like I remember one of my teacher, like my homeroom teacher, having like a real conversation with me if I really want to leave. And I'm like, 6 or 7, something like that. Like it was just like ridiculous.
Did you want to leave?
I didn't like it then. I didn't like the uniformity of it. I didn't like that no individuality. No, I didn't like it as a kid.
Yeah.
And
you're a very individual person.
Right,
individual.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that. I remember not liking that as a kid.
Right. Are you in touch with anybody from back then?
I'm still friends with my first friend.
Cool.
Yes.
Does he or she live there or here?
She does live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you go back?
No.
No.
I don't have any reason to.
No reason to besides her maybe.
To.
So how'd you get into comedy then? Like were you like always aware you're going to be doing comedy? Were you making jokes in Russia before you moved there?
No. No, I don't think so. I think my parents have a really great sense of humor.
You got it from them?
I think, from my dad probably. And I got the pain from my mom, so that's how I...
The pain?
Yeah, the pain that makes me a stand-up comedian, right? I got it from my mom, and the sense of humor I got it from my dad. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it. So I'm a little bit untraditional, and probably in all aspects of my life, including like education and a career path. Mm-hmm. And I got to a point in my life where I was in college, and college was already like the last thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I did real estate, I worked on the stock market, and a whole bunch of other legal and illegal stuff, which by the way I can actually discuss. But
oh, please.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
So by the time I went to college, I already did a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And when I went to college, I wanted...
Oh, you did all that stuff before you went to college.
Absolutely correct.
That's the way it should be done, right? Don't you think?
I think to each its own. I think that should be an option.
It should be an option, at least.
People should go to college when they want to.
Because, here in America, we just rush into it. And 90% of my friends have no idea what they want to do.
They force people that everywhere in the world.
Right.
It's just like your parents want you, like, sooner
you got to grow up fast.
Yeah, so I know where you're going. I think it's just everywhere in the world. Yeah. I think your parents want you to be stable. And, like, there's a certain path, right?
Yeah.
Like, you go to school, you get a career. There's a, so it's kind of a stability.
Yeah.
So... Some people like that.
But it is totally absurd. Don't you agree to
It was absurd to me, but not to everybody. Like, I wouldn't want a doctor, or like some a heart surgeon have non-traditional.
Yeah.
So there's, for some people, it should be an option, I think.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are doing that. Like, a lot of Americans after high school volunteer, go overseas or take time off,
Yeah.
I think the issue with American education is more of a loan system.
That's the biggest problem, yeah.
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 Like, I don't understand how an 18-year-old can take out like $60,000. I don't think they have an aspect of what $60,000 is.
No.
So
And they just do it. Everybody just does it.
Get back to so I went to college when I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I thought I was gonna do options. So I studied mathematics, or tried to study mathematics.
What'd you say? Options?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's like you have stocks, bonds, options.
Okay.
Right, but options you trade between people.
Okay.
It's like a bet if it's gonna go up and down, and it's between two people.
Are you good at all that stuff? Do you take advantage of your knowledge of it and use it to this day?
No, I like that play. I like that puzzle.
Okay.
Like, to me, that's what it is. It's like a puzzle. But I kind of find the same puzzle in comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my comedy, the way I write, is very influenced by my background in like science, my parents' background, whatever was passed on to me, and that education. I should never be a science account anything because I'm dyslexic, super dyslexic, but it does give me, I think, uniqueness in the art world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you think of what you do as art. You're doing art.
Yes,
Nice.
I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a starving artist.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just starving. That's ridiculous.
You're not making money from comedy at all, or maybe not enough to totally pay all the bills?
Bills. I don't make comedy. I don't make money off comedy to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. The comedians that do make money are we're not talking about famous, pack arenas, but we're talking about regular working, comedians. It's on the road or clubs.
You got to tour, right? Because you can't exhaust your city.
I mean, what do you mean exhaust your city?
Like you can only do so many shows.
That's
in
why
your
you write
city
new
per
jokes.
month. Yeah.
You write new jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's also like a challenge as an artist.
Yeah.
So, you just start doing new stuff. I don't know. I think there's a lot of different ways, but it seems like actually the comedy itself monetarily doesn't pay, but the skill set that I got from it, I'm getting from it, really pays off in other aspects, like being in front of a camera, in any aspect, as a host or an actor or whatever it is. It just seems, like I would have to get an education and practice, but because I do this, it's kind of
you
an
can
acquired
get up on a
skill.
stage.
Yeah,
and
you
do
just
comedy.
acquire a whole bunch of skills. You don't have a choice.
Yeah. Anyone who listens to this podcast knows that I always say, like, it's my biggest fear to do stand-up comedy. So I think if you could do that, you could really do almost anything.
I mean,
as far as
some
putting yourself out
aspects,
there and acting goes.
yes. Right. Like, I would never be a surgeon. Just want to make that. Just not everything.
Not everything, but anything as far as like your persona and putting yourself out and
being
acting goes.
honest, like handling, being handle situations other people are not. There's something different from you than other people.
Yeah. Have you been heckled?
Oh, yes.
Are you like a master at handling hecklers? Or
I don't know. I don't know if I'm master. I'm getting to be very good at it.
What is can you give us an example of like a heckle recently that happened? And how you handled it?
So not recently, but about a year ago, I was in Brooklyn. It was a Jamaican spot. So it was a lounge, and there was about 150 people, and it was packed, and it was a bar, and there was no like traditional stage. You kind of just stood in the middle of everything, and people are sitting or standing around you. And then you're like, hey, I'm here to do comedy. Yeah, there was a woman sitting up front, And between me and you, I think she was sleeping with the owner because nobody behaves like that and gets away with it. Like, you know.
She's being really obnoxious.
Yeah, very, very obnoxious. Not just towards me, but the comedians that came before. You know, so I kind of like, if you've seen my stand-up, I try to talk over my hecklers because I don't want to stop my show.
You don't want to direct your attention to them?
No, because it's not about them.
You
right?
just keep going.
It's actually about my jokes, about me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I try to either use my tone or pitch up my voice to overwhelm them. And usually it works, and they just, like, shut up. But not with everybody, you know. And in this case, it wasn't working at all. And at some point, she just said, you're not funny. Like, this isn't funny, right? And it's like, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Right, you're laughing because it's like,
Was anyone laughing at that or you or anything, or was it just like
not
silent?
at that point, right? But I was having a good set, like, and I know, like, I know there's 150 people. Okay, they stand out laughing. I'm having a good set. Yeah. So I think, like, and it was natural. It was never a line I used. You know, it just like it was just like a natural epiphany of things. And I think my better lines today. My comeback was, it's horrible. Like, isn't it the worst when you come to a comedy show and it's not funny? Like, that's the worst experience. You have to be so disappointed. I mean, like, it's horrible, you know, when you understand all the words just not together. And
That's what you said.
yes,
there, yeah.
and once I said all the words but not together, everybody started laughing, including her friends. So, yes, try to pick a fight with me outside, but that's just, you know, that's just a given.
Maybe she was just jealous of you. I don't know.
I mean, like, whatever the issue is, it's really her issue. I'm not, I'm not here to define, but hey, I had the best line.
I mean, you're not just a comedian, you're a model.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, I mean, if she's sleeping with the owner, you're threatening her territory, maybe.
Probably.
No?
Well, that's in my experience, people will treat you the way they know themselves.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if I didn't do anything and then, like, and you, like, you know, you're going after me, that, you're like, yeah, I must scare you.
It's really hard in the moment to keep that in mind and act accordingly. But yeah, people who are aggressive and mean or whatever, you know, we all know it's something in them. It has less to do with you.
Yes.
But it puts you in a tough spot.
I mean, on one hand, but it's also, I think it's also a great, you know, time to show who you are.
Yeah, no, it's really your testing ground.
Yeah, exactly. It's not necessarily testing, but it's like,
Place
you know,
to grow.
In the good situation, nobody might see the hero in you. You know what I mean? Or vice versa.
The hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel strong up there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
No, I know that people are afraid of, besides comedy, just public speaking.
Yeah.
You know.
There's so many varieties of comedy, I feel like, out there. Do you have like a name for what type of comedy you do, or I don't know how to name them. I don't categorize them.
I have no idea.
You don't know?
I don't have it. I thought at first
I think you catch people by surprise. That's something I think you do.
Yeah, so
like if somebody doesn't know you, like you get up there and nobody knows what to expect.
Right.
As soon as you start talking, I think a lot of people are like, "Oh shit."
I interpret that as a compliment because
I
think that's a point of comedy.
Yeah.
Like it's not supposed to be, you know, a good joke is not supposed to be something, oh yeah, I know it's coming. It's supposed to have those emotions.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, you're right. Ah. You know, it's almost like you have to say what everybody thinks but doesn't say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think that's an ultimate freedom of speech.
Yeah. Do you think everything you say on stage is like really what you think 100%, or are you just saying things that are kind of funny sometimes and you could easily believe something else as well? Like I'm trying to think of an example right now.
Okay, everything I say on stage, I believe.
You believe?
Yeah.
Totally. All right, I can think of one right now. Like
Okay.
you have the bit where you're like talking about, I don't know if it's your dream man, but like a man that you want a caveman.
Yeah, I want somebody to pay my bills.
You want to say your joke.
Yes, I'm tired.
Because you say you want him to beat you over the head, take you into his cave, and provide you housing.
Right, like the caveman is a dream man because he comes out of his cave, bangs a woman on the head, drags her back into his cave, and to me that's a dream man. That's not a man who oppresses women.
Right.
Because that's a man who knows what he wants, willing to commit, and provides housing.
Right.
So, in New York City, that's a very relatable issue.
Yeah.
Housing is expensive. People are spoiled, you know. So, do I want a caveman? No, but I think it speaks more of somebody who is more. I just want somebody who is strong, I guess. Yeah, that's. I think it's more speaks to that.
Right, and doesn't have to be physically strong. It's like the whole package strong, or maybe both.
Like character.
Right. Strong character providing for you emotionally and.
Yeah, well, and I don't mean materialistically, but like providing.
Right.
You don't have to buy things, but I just want to make clear I am already a happy person, so money doesn't make me happy, but it just makes things better.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the aspect...
I don't know about that. I feel like money actually does bring happiness. I think
well,
it's like
if you're a happy person to start with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could be feeling down and be a happy person. It's like, happy person doesn't go around like, die, that's a bimbo.
Yeah.
A happy person who, knows these issues, but still able to see, better things in life.
Right.
So, I'm... so somebody who doesn't... not necessarily materialistic contributor, but a supporter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other jokes you have.
My raped grandmothers, great grandmothers.
Raped, you said?
Yeah, of course.
Can you say some of those?
My joke about it, like how I'm very small part Russian. I think everybody knows that. Like I have
you're
Mongolian, Turkish, German, Spaniard, Ukrainian. I mean, there's just a whole bunch.
Korean,
yes.
Do you have what do your parents look like? Are they do you have a Korean dad, or you just know this from?
Okay,
grandparents
so
and stuff?
my grandmother's sister looks Asian, really Asian.
Okay.
Right. Then my mom has blonde hair and blue eyes, and my father is like a white person, olive white person with dark hair. So, and I have freckles and I'm orange. So. And
you got red hair,
yeah. Yeah. And my brother, blonde hair, blue eyes, and my sister is a brunette with dark eyes.
So your joke is that everybody got raped?
Because I don't think people understand. I think people when you're like, oh, I'm this big mix, and everybody's like, oh my God, people are cruel. It's only in recent and only in not even the whole world, just small part of the world that people of different culture, different nationality, different skin color can get married and have kids.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
100 years ago, it didn't happen out of love. They happen after, we conquer and rape. So when it's kind of like I get taken back. They're like, oh my God, it wasn't like a romantic aspect.
Yeah, you took it from history books.
Yeah, pretty much so. Yes.
Just paid attention in school. That was all.
I mean, in some cases, but then there would be stories in our family.
Yeah.
That my great grandfather during Russian-Turkish war, he went into a Turkey and came back with a Turkish wife. There you go, there's my Turk in me. But I'm sure he didn't walk into a village and go oh, you're pretty, let me court you for a month. They bang her on the head. He was a conqueror, right?
I don't know.
I mean, the only thing I hope he treated her with respect. I think that, and it just seems
maybe he was is there a possibility that he was a real gentleman, though?
Yeah. I mean, culturally, men are like that in my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Men in my family are very family oriented, treat women, there's always an issue in any, I guess, marriage or whatever.
Yeah.
But culturally, men are. So, we do have instances when they weren't, but I think because of, I see my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my father, now I see my brother, what kind of a man, and because it just, I think it just gets passed on. So that's what I hope for, that, for whatever circumstances, however they ended up, my male part, is treated women well,
So I asked you how you got into comedy. I think we got a little away from the answer there, right? So you were doing all these other jobs.
Yeah, so I did everything. And I think at one point I realized I don't want to do anything. And then I'm just do something you just like even it's the craziest thing, just do it. And I guess it was stand up.
Stand up is the craziest thing you could think of.
Yeah, that I would be like, oh, I would
So
love to do
you
that.
just did it for like shits and giggles, or just like I'm gonna just try something? It
No,
wasn't like
I was very serious about it.
You got serious right from
Yes.
the start?
Yes. So, well, I kind of, when I do stuff, like, you can't make me do stuff I don't want, but when I do stuff, it's 100%, 110, 200%, whatever it takes,
Yeah.
right? So my first open mic, I decided I was going to do it, and I'm going to do it, and no matter what.
Where was it?
It was out of Shrunken Head on Alphabet City. I still actually get on stage there sometimes. And I think it was 12 years ago. I invited my whole office.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I wouldn't chicken out. So if I knew people came to see me, I had to go on stage no matter what.
Right.
No matter, because you have to now. Like, people came to see you.
I feel like that would make me even more scared.
Yes, but it's kind of like, doesn't give you a choice in a way.
I'd be more likely to chicken out, actually, I think.
Really?
If I invited a bunch of
No,
coworkers.
not for me. I think for me it was just like, no, like even if I do bad, it doesn't matter. But they came from a show, so if I do good or bad, it's a show for them.
Yeah, yeah.
So that, yeah, and I was on
It's a
stage.
responsibility.
They came though. They came. I still remember each and one. I think 8 or 9 people.
Did you do all right?
Yes, for the first time, I think so. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I thought I was great. Yeah.
You have a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I mean,
Because there's a lot of like self-deprecating comedians and comedy, and I wouldn't.
Sure.
And I guess maybe you go there a little bit, like you have to be able to make fun of yourself a little bit, but
Right.
I don't really think of you as like somebody who's really like self-deprecating.
I think because it's just part of me. Like I do good and bad, I think. Like, because like the bad is part of a reality, so you kind of have, like, which you perceive bad in a way.
Right.
So you have to kind of admit it, right? You have to. It's a reality. Like, you can't. I'm a live performer.
Admit what's bad about you.
Yes, or what you don't like about yourself, you know,
Right.
like that self-deprecation that you're talking about. So it's kind of part of a reality, and if you're a live performer, you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
Because if you start ignoring that, you start ignoring other things, and then you can't be yourself on stage.
Yeah.
So I think it's just because it comes out like everything else, people don't really catch, not that they catch on, it's not a shock value. But it's there. Of course it's there. It has to, like, I'm an artist. I question myself, things about myself, things I do or don't do. It's all, and it all comes out.
Yeah. And do you actually write down? You write your comedy, like handwrite it or type it
Yeah.
out, or yeah.
No, I write it. I'm going to show you. Can I show you this?
Sure, please.
All right.
I would love to see it. You handwrite it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think before we started saying, I have your sticker in my, here we go. Yeah. I also write like in different colors to structure my joke.
Cool.
Like it would be in like, what do you call it? Equation in a way.
It's an
Right.
equation?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, in a way, like, let me show you something that I'm developing right now. Right, so this is my development. You
Cool.
see that? Like, it's
Yeah.
all different colors because it's different idea. Like,
Nice.
Like I have different aspect in an idea. Yeah, see, I'm developing.
Awesome.
So it's just nonsense, really.
Should I shoot some video of you showing that right now?
If you want to.
Yeah, let me shoot some. I'll cut it in so people can see. That's awesome. I love keeping sketchbooks. I keep a lot of
Yeah,
sketchbooks.
but yeah, that's how you develop. I mean, they say you have to write once a day. I don't think I do that. Yeah, so let me see. Hold on. What the hell is this sticker? Here you go. So yeah, this is just like when it's usually one color. It's usually my set list.
Yeah.
And then it'll be something like this when it starts getting like that. This is where I develop stuff. And I feel really bad on the train for people. Like right now I'm working on a joke about prostitution. So I think like on top you have like prostitute, hooker, whore, sugar baby.
What, you're afraid someone's looking over your shoulder and reading profanity?
I know people read this, like, yeah, on top of my page, you see like whore, prostitute, hooker, sex worker, call girl, harlot. Like, it's right there. So anybody sitting next to me is like...
What is that? Those are like the
Well, I'm
the
writing
topics.
I'm writing a joke about prostitution. So what I usually do, if I know like my premise, right, I Google it and try and find as many words as you can, and then
like synonyms.
in culture to describe it. So that's what it is now. And these are the words that I'm like, this makes sense. That was just like, I think I found 27 words or something to describe a prostitute. It was ridiculous. And then I'm like, what is that word for a woman that wants to have sex for fun? What is that word? There is no word.
So that's part of the joke?
Yes. Look at this.
There really isn't, huh?
No, there isn't.
Sex positive,
No, that's
progressive.
that's really more than one word, isn't it?
You're looking for one word?
Yeah.
Well, damn, you should invent it then. That should be.
I don't know. No, it kind of makes me feel like I'm a unicorn, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
You are a unicorn. There's no doubt about that.
Thanks.
But you should definitely invent a word for that.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Okay, cool. I look forward to the future
To
set.
a new word, yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to be talking, bringing women down and speaking negatively towards women about anything.
Can I tell you something? I don't find there are men that do it, but I think in modern times I find there are more women that do it to women. Like, since everybody became body positive, all of a sudden, like, people are shaming me now because I'm skinny.
Yeah?
Yes. Like, people have no problem telling me that I need to eat. Like, imagine if I came out to a obese person, I'm like, hey, you know what? You might think about your blood pressure. Like, it's not appropriate for anybody.
Yeah.
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 So, and, not all skinny people are unhealthy, and not all big people are unhealthy either. So, just because you have an opinion, it doesn't mean it gives you a right to offend somebody.
Right, yeah. Everyone's being kind of safe right now, but you're saying women can be nasty?
Women are nasty.
Women are nasty?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what women go after?
What?
With me? My sex appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How so? What do they do?
It becomes like a derogatory thing, like in conversations or something. And like I said, when you put in certain situation, although it just seems like a bad situation, you could really come in and shine through and stuff, you know. Yeah. So, then it turns out I look better, I'm smarter, I cook better, suck dick better. Then it's like,
hey, if you're good, you're good.
Around,
Yeah.
So
you can't fault someone for being good at what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's rough.
No, I think it's all right. I think it's also the other way around.
Builds character.
Yeah, but I think it's also like, women get like, I wear makeup and, I'm a certain way that I'm comfortable. And my sex appeal is part of who I am. So is my education.
Right.
So is my life experiences,
Yeah.
And I think for women who don't use makeup or don't like add heat to their hair are considered to be unfeminine, which is not true either. Mm-hmm. So I think it just works like both ways, you know.
The gender norms are all switching around now. Like, well, at least not switching around, but now everyone's hyper aware of it or trying to be in new ways.
Yeah, but that's
nothing's. I've never ever viewed anything as normal, but it's hard for people to grasp that.
I think that's also part of having an equality. It's part of a process.
Yeah.
There's like, even young people have, hard ways of leaving old ways.
Oh, yeah. So. Yeah, very little kids are very open-minded and don't see anything. But then we get things stuck in us and ingrained in us.
Right, exactly. So there's a sort of, there's a transitional period, if you will. And that's where you ask questions, and that's where, redefine things. And that's what makes, a new norm in society.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just a process.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we're in a interesting time. As bad as everything is, I like living where we live.
I don't think anything
I like
is
what's
bad.
going on. Nothing's bad? You don't think anything's bad?
No, I don't. What's bad?
I mean, things are definitely bad out there.
Where?
I mean, just take crime, for example, right? Like, we're
Okay,
living
so I
in,
just want to make it
we're living
clear.
in the safest time,
Okay,
right?
okay, but I just want to make a point that crime is bad.
Right. Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, right. Well, yeah. So I don't know what you mean by nothing's bad. What's
Okay,
'cause
but
things are bad.
like, what's your expectation? You're gonna have zero crime over like a population of millions and millions of billions of people. That's not
No.
realistic.
No,
right?
no.
Okay.
And actually, I like filmmaking, and I think there's a
Right.
lot of my favorite filmmakers make points that like crime is actually like it's its own like form of keeping the population healthy in a way, even though obviously crime is unhealthy. It's like if you just like take criminals and force them to be good, that doesn't work. You can't force people to be good.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
Right.
and
right.
and there's
And there's
certain
some
level of
people that-
self-policing among the population.
Right,
that-
but there's also people that are just wired from birth a certain way that what are you gonna do with psychopath?
yeah.
Mass more like there's just is we as society. There's a whole bunch of us.
Yeah, and I think there's certain situations where criminals can be doing good too. So it's the
Well, it depends,
criminals
like-
are the ones helping sometimes.
Okay. I mean,
It's vague
so-
talk right
so-
now.
right,
But there's
right,
plenty
it's a little
of
bit-
movies out there proving my point. If
but
movies
yeah, but
prove
if you
points.
but if you like okay, but if you were like I'm just gonna do American history. Right?
Okay, we're
So
gonna go over
if
the whole
you
thing.
were 1940s and you were a black family, couldn't get a
1940s?
job, couldn't do how about you came back from World War II and you didn't have a leg and you couldn't get a job and
Right.
and there was huge discrimination in housing and and you need to feed your family.
Mm-hmm.
The person goes sells drugs, right? Is that a crime? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But what is he gonna do?
Yeah. Right.
So crime is bad, but
Crime is bad, but yeah.
yeah, I think that's we're moving where judicial system is moving slowly, but to a point where everything is on individual base.
Mm-hmm.
You review that crime at that time for that person.
Mm-hmm.
Not that the whole three strikes and you out, and that's kind of like a mess, There's no uniqueness of you. It's just kind of whatever. I don't care what happened. I don't care why. It's just this is what's gonna happen to you.
Because of the specific situation that you created. You mean what are you talking about? Being in the court of law? Or you're talking about-
Now they're changing. They're changing stuff, and they're actually allowing judges to review per individual, what happened to that. Before it was just okay, this is what it is. And one of the worst examples is 3 strikes and you're out.
Mm-hmm.
You commit 3 crimes and you're locked up for the rest of your life.
Have you been to jail?
No, I have never been to jail, but I have committed crimes.
Yeah.
Yes. I just never got caught.
Wait, so earlier you said you did some illegal stuff. You're down to talk about that?
No, we could talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
What type of stuff are we talking about?
I grew up in an immigrant community. I was on my own at 14. So,
What do you mean, living on your own?
yes. I didn't get along with my parents.
Here in America?
Yes.
Where were you when you moved here?
We moved to New York first, then my parents moved to New Jersey, and then I kind of ran away from home and moved back to Brooklyn.
Okay.
Right, so...
So 14. You're living in Brooklyn.
I like drugs.
Yeah.
Yes. Did, cooked, sold.
Wow.
Women. We committed 3 armed robberies, I think, before I turned 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Oopa.
It's an immigrant community.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you have a whole bunch of kids who don't have any adult supervision, that this will happen.
Right.
It's in New York City.
Yeah.
I'm not unique. There's a bunch of people like that.
Yeah. No, I know it. Wow.
Yeah, and I had friends who done worse. Like
I'm sure.
I never like hurt anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I
Armed
never.
like gun?
Yeah,
What'd you
arm
use?
does mean
Oh,
gun.
you can do it with a knife. Does the knife count as armed, or is that not armed?
I think it does, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It depends on which knife, I guess.
What kind of gun?
A 9mm.
Damn. Yeah, and I've never shot a real gun to this day.
You never shot a real gun? You
Just
never
BB guns.
Just BB gun?
Yeah.
I never shot at anybody. I just want to make it very
Yeah.
clear. Like, I have never, you know.
I would encourage you
Not
to admit that on the podcast if you did.
No, but, you know, I never killed anybody, and the statute of limitation have ran out already.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Cool.
Ever. Never killed anybody.
What is the
ever.
statute? How many years is that?
I think like 7 years or 10 years is like, yeah. I think the only statute.
And you were a minor anyway.
Yes, I was a very, very minor.
Yeah.
But also, I think murder, homicide is the only, there's no limitation on that. And I think they're trying to make rape now as well.
No limit.
No statute of limitation, yeah.
Yeah.
It's because you can't prosecute after X amount of time.
But it wouldn't be retroactive. It would be
There's no
moving
retroactive
forward.
in the crime.
Huh?
There's no retroactive, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're trying to make that for rape now, like rape or sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you were assaulted as a kid, like, you know, God, I can't imagine what that's like. And then, you know, like you're at 40, you're dealing with it. You know, that I believe it should be part of, you know, your healing that some person gets prosecuted.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I believe in forgiveness, but certain crimes,
No, you can,
somebody
you,
needs to be locked
You
up.
can forgive,
Somebody
but it
needs to
doesn't
be
mean
put
like
away.
a person shouldn't be punished in a society.
I mean, especially with rape, they usually go unreported, and then that person just keeps doing it.
Yes,
and, yeah,
yes.
it's
So
horrible.
sexual assaults and so on. And
Yeah.
like, you know, most of the children that are getting sexually assaulted, they don't know they're getting sexually
They
assaulted.
don't even know what's going on
No,
until years
they
later.
don't.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right.
Yeah. Yeah. But that never happened to you.
No.
You got out. But damn, I want to go back to armed robbery though. So like, what'd you get? Money? You got?
Right.
Did you get a lot, or was it?
There was
it not really
one
lucrative?
of the reasons I didn't do anymore because there was a whole bunch of us, and I remember not getting that much.
You had to split it up with everybody.
Yes.
You robbed them together in like a group, or you just had to split it with like the crew. Like you'd have to come home and split what you got.
Oh, I didn't like take the money. I was just part of the
Okay.
action.
Okay.
And it's not. I mean, like it.
You were masterminding. You were going
No,
out on
no,
like
I wasn't a mess with. There was somebody
Okay.
older who has done it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Wow. We're not naming names. I forgot to tell you, like, don't call anybody out on the show. Don't shout anybody out who can get in trouble or anyone that you're
You're
talking
right.
shit
Like,
about, right?
No, because I would do that because of
Don't
the
do
life
that.
I
No,
lived. So I
shout
would
out-
learn to shout out.
Shout out
No.
artists and friends and people you want to support, but
I
don't
think
shout out
that
people who
no,
you
well,
hate.
well, first
and-
of all, like I'm no longer in that environment.
Right.
Because if you stay in that environment, you die.
But it's crazy because it's just here. It's still around. It's like all around. I'm
Yes.
always aware of that. Like I live in my bubble here.
Yeah,
And there's just crime happening all around me.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
It's crazy.
I think it's not as bad as when I was growing up.
Not at all.
No,
Not at all.
no. It's like
I got here in 2000 and it was already way better. Yeah.
Right.
And now since then it's gotten way better.
Right. You
Yeah.
know, so the criminal activity, yeah, there is. There's always going to be.
Yeah. That's so badass though. Maybe I ask you more in-depth questions later on.
Okay.
Off the record. Well, shit. So how did you get out of it? Was it like hard or was it did you have to like hide out or
No.
Nobody was, like, coming
no,
after you?
No. That's a great story for movies.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. Like it's not like I had
Right.
some sort of
There's no
secrets
drama.
or
It's like,
whatever.
oh, she's
I was
done.
a
All
kid
right,
on
whatever.
the street. Nobody cared. Nobody, you know. I was just I
a
would
hard
be a
knock
part
life.
of this or part of that, or you know, like
Right.
wherever the wind would blow. Yeah, but there was no like.
Not so dramatic.
Yeah, it's. I mean. No, there's
Everybody
we're
always-
like a street gang, and like I mean I get it.
We always want to hear a movie story though. That's like human nature
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I'm sure there is maybe Italian mafia in like
Yeah.
70s, but you know, we were kids.
Just do it.
We were literally all like the
Independent
oldest
crime.
person was probably 17.
Wow.
Well, like, isn't that the scariest part?
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
A whole bunch of kids.
Yeah.
running around.
Where were you living?
Brooklyn.
With them? No, I know that, but I mean, like, were you living with them in like a house?
Yeah, like yeah.
Squatting or like?
No, I mean, like, I remember having my apartment when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
You know, somebody else, my girlfriend had an apartment, you know, then I lived with my other girlfriend and her mom, like, you know, whatever.
Damn. So, and you just did that until you became of age? Did you ever go back to your parents, or was it just like,
No,
wow?
I don't think I would that. But no, I did that until like I went to college, because I remember everybody, like, things started happening.
Yeah.
Like, people weren't experimenting anymore. There was serious consequences. People were getting arrested, dying, like, you know,
Right.
shot at. Like,
Yeah, you gotta change your ways, otherwise
right. pretty
reality
much
catches up with you.
So, but when I went to college, I still, like, I did drugs. I went to college on heroin and crack, actually. Like, I remember having a full-time job, going to college full-time, and doing a lot of drugs.
Damn.
Yes. And then it tipped over into an addiction, you know, from being a user.
Like after college or during?
No, during.
It just got really bad.
Yes. It didn't get bad where I lost my job, my grades went down. I realized I'm an addict. Like, I
You
realized.
caught it early.
I always knew, like, oh, it's fun and blah, blah, but then, like, there's that thin line. And,
Yeah.
like, I remember crossing that thin line. I remember going, like, I'm not going to live until I was 40 and having that kind of, like, an epiphany.
What was it? You were just like sitting around feeling dead or something? What was the epiphany?
That, you know,
Can you
like,
put it in
if you don't
words?
stop, that's it.
Yeah,
That's like,
just
there's
that.
nothing else.
Yeah.
Not that I expected, like, anything else, but I was kind of, but what if there is something else? It was
Yeah.
just kind of like, I understood that I was an addict.
Yeah.
Like, I understood that I had to wake up and do a line, or I couldn't function. You know, so
How'd you beat it?
I had a friend lock me in a room.
Nice. No, just independent rehab. You're just a very independent woman.
Yeah,
across
in
the
a
board.
way, yeah.
Just do everything yourself.
I had a friend, and it was just like the support from friends. Yeah.
How hard was it? Was that like the movies? Were you shaking and screaming and everything?
Yeah, I mean, no, but I wasn't shooting up. That's different. Like, people the way
That
you use
hits you
yeah,
harder.
it's just very, very different. And it was back then, which is not now. Now drugs are very different.
They're worse now, right?
I think so. I think
You don't even know what you're taking half the time.
yeah, I think so. So that combination, I know I had withdrawals. I know the shaking, the muscle aching. Like, I was throwing up the first couple of days. I think like a month. It took me
A month to beat it? You weren't locked in the room for the month, though.
No, but I mean, like, you can't move. You're just lying there, like, you know.
Yeah.
No, but I had support, and I knew what I had to do, so that was it.
Way to go.
That's what had to be
It's
done.
so long ago now, probably. It's like to congratulate you on it. Maybe it
It's
doesn't
not-
feel like
there's-
anything, but way to
you
go.
know what? I have to tell you something. It's so weird, because when you like, I'm an addict for the rest of my life, right? I'm just non-practicing.
That's the mentality you have to have
Yeah, I'm a
to
non-practicing
stay
addict.
to stay beaten.
Yeah, because I know who I am.
Yeah.
I know what my limitation, what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm telling you, I can't be a surgeon. I also can't do crack or heroin.
It's
you know?
important to be realistic, otherwise you're
Yeah.
in danger of relapsing because
Right,
you're living
exactly.
a fantasy,
Like, you have
right?
to be honest with yourself in that way. So, I love drugs. I wish I like alcohol as much as I like drugs, but I don't.
Yeah, you said you don't like drinking that much.
Not that much. I could have a beer once in a while, but that's
Yeah.
also like became as an adult. When I was a
Yeah.
kid, I liked doing drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm laughing at it right now.
Do you have drug jokes that you do?
I think the only drug joke I have, I'm working on some things, but I do have a drug joke about when Michael Phelps got tested and they found like marijuana in his blood or something. Do you remember that?
I don't tell it to me if you.
Yeah,
don't
so
mind.
that's not the joke. That was a real
I
thing.
remember Michael Phelps.
Yeah,
I
so
remember
the
all that.
joke is, it's like, you know, like, I didn't like him to start with, like he's goofy looking, like weird, blah, blah, blah. But now he has all of these gold medals and he's a pothead. Like that's hot, right?
Right.
That's like winning a Nobel Prize on crack. It's like, okay, maybe crack not so bad if you have a Nobel Prize next to it, you know. So like, yeah, so I do have a drug joke.
That's a great
Yeah,
joke, because I thought that was kind of bullshit that they gave him such a hard time over pot.
Marijuana,
it's
yeah.
like-
Well, back then it was like a serious drug. Now they're like, we start growing.
yeah, when was that?
I think it was
2008 or-
after, not this Olympics, so I'm thinking maybe 8 years ago. Like it was 8 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Feels like yesterday. But
He didn't even like smoked a real joint or anything. There was like, he smoked a bong, which is like the purest way of smoking marijuana.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get it.
yeah, it is funny to think that Olympic athletes inhaling smoke into their lungs, but it's also like, it just shows you that people blow it out of proportion. And
Yeah,
it's like, who cares?
I mean, right, on personal level, I don't want my Olympians to start using a bunch of drugs, you know. But yeah, but if you're not training,
It's a slippery slope, because obviously, you know, like then we get steroids, and you know,
right,
obviously
exactly.
heroin
What is drugs
is really
in a
bad.
way? Yeah,
Yeah.
but just marijuana.
Well, it just shows that we just clump it all together, and
Right,
that's a kind of
exactly,
childish, naive way to think about
right,
drugs,
we don't
right?
differentiate people who are users and addicts. We don't differentiate a lot of things.
Yeah,
We just clump it all together, and then like, oh, we have a problem. No, duh.
yeah. It's. I think the whole world has a problem doing that, but definitely in America, we vilified drugs and criminalized everything.
No, not some. I mean, it depends which part of the world, you know. Like
Other parts of the world have problems too, obviously. But
yeah, of course, everybody does. you
Like
know.
I think Japan is really strict, and
Really, in Russia, marijuana is like heroin.
the way that the authorities treat it, you mean?
The law sees it. It's like heroin.
Which is ridiculous. Isn't crocodile? Isn't that like a big drug over there too? It's like
I don't know.
it's like I think it is. Yeah, it's like that's totally absurd. There's like such a
But-
big
but
difference
in any
between.
system, you're gonna have absurd things.
There's
Like
so many
every
good
system-
jokes. Comedians make so many good jokes about drugs, right? It's just like you could smoke so much weed, and it's not gonna like it's just gonna make you kind of chill and dumb. Nobody kills anybody on marijuana. Nobody dies on marijuana.
I have to tell you, one of the worst things I was taught about drugs when I was a kid is they will make you feel bad. They don't.
Right. Yeah,
Nobody
I know.
does drugs because they make you feel bad. Like
Yeah,
that was
and,
one of-
and
that was one of
alcohol's a depressant, but I drink it to get happy and have
yeah,
fun
exactly.
and be creative.
So I
and-
think like, you know, like because when I was drugs are bad, drugs. And when I did drugs, I'm like, this is bad.
yeah, honestly, some of the best memories of my life were on drugs. I'm sorry to say it, Mom and Dad, but yeah.
No,
It's true.
right.
With
so,
friends, partying,
so
whatever
you're kind
it is.
of like,
yeah.
you know, you're becoming an adult, and the only thing that people told you is bad, it's bad, it's bad. And you're like, wait a minute, it's
Yeah.
not so bad.
Yeah.
And because there's no, like, you know, there's no qualification of things or breaking things down, it's like, so everything must be good then.
Yeah.
Like, just you saying everything bad, that must be good. Drugs does not make you feel bad. They make you feel great. The repercussions are bad.
What about this whole gateway drug thing? That's sort of being made fun of a lot by comedians too. It's like people saying that weed's a gateway drug to coke, and coke, you know, leads to heroin, all that stuff.
I
Is
mean,
it-
okay, so, all right, so what if you tried coke and then you're smoking weed and you become a pothead and you don't like coke so much? Does a coke become you know?
Perfect.
Like,
That's what I wanted. That's
you
what I
know
wanted
what I
to
mean?
say.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of...
You're telling me what I want to hear. Thank
right,
you.
I think marijuana is more accessible than
Right.
coke, you know, in that way. So
Accessible in terms of it's just going to pop up in your life.
Yeah, I
If
think
you're doing
there's
coke, you're more likely to
of
run into-
that in
yeah.
regards to like
It's more popular than it's ever been. I remember when I first got into it in college. It was like because I didn't do any drugs until college. I was straight edge hardcore in high school.
Well, I didn't do anything until like I left home.
But yeah, when I started doing it, I was like, damn, this is way more popular than I even realized it was. I was like, way more people smoke weed than I had than I ever thought. And now it's even more so. It's just like everybody's vaping, everybody's taking edibles all day
because
long. It's crazy.
It's also more in the open now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's good. I love it, and I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. But I don't know if it's healthy that everyone's smoking so much pot and doing so many edibles all the time, everywhere, under all circumstances.
I think it's maybe also the people you surround yourself
Some
with.
people handle it differently too, so I don't want to say that for everybody. Some people can take it.
Yeah, but
I know so many people who just should be doing a little less of it.
I totally agree with you. And there's people who don't do it and should be doing it, and there's people that do it that shouldn't do it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's at the
but
end,
because
it's
it's still
an
illegal,
individual choice, right?
Yeah.
Like anything else.
It's a choice, but also because it's still illegal, there's no way to assess. There's no way to like figure out.
I mean, yeah, but
who
they
or how to
started prescribing it to people.
Yeah.
Like, cancer patients get it.
Yeah.
And, whatever works for them. And
Medicinal.
Right. But
quote unquote medicinal purposes. Yeah.
No, it's not quote unquote.
No, I know it works, and I know people use it for those reasons.
Right.
I'm not making light of that. But I'm making light of the fact that 90% of my friends out in LA have the thing for medicinal purposes, and that is not what it's for.
That, right?
It's like me with my dog and taking my dog on the train. It's a what do they call it? The carrot. I'm blanking out right now.
That's all right.
What do they call the dogs when you're not the disability dogs, the emotional support dogs.
Oh, okay.
Right, yeah, that's like, it's the same kind of bullshit. It's like, it's not emotional support. It's just, you want to get your dog on the train.
Okay, so
like,
I don't agree with the dog not being emotionally support. There's some people that it actually,
I mean, it emotionally supports me, but, everybody, you get your dog on the train, like, you get the certificate.
Right, but when you're talking about, like, emotional dog, we're talking about people that had real life, like you and I, our imagination can't even go there from what these people. So, for them, like, it does work.
Yeah.
I do believe, and,
Me too.
And it makes sense. Like, it's a logical sense, right? Because I know for myself, anytime I touch a pad, there's a different, so somebody who is, like, extra emotional, this might work.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I'm in. I mean, if weed calms you down or if a dog calms you down.
Yeah, exactly. It all works.
I'm just making the argument that because there's laws against both of them, like taking your dog on a train and smoking weed, that everybody just goes in through that emotional support or that medicinal purpose,
I
right?
mean, like,
it's our only way in.
I would totally do that.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I could totally live without marijuana. It's like, it's a choice. I do feel it's...
But why would you want to, right?
Well, yeah, I feel it sort of balances me out in a way that like other things don't. Or I would have to do a whole bunch of things for it to do it.
What do you think you'd have to do?
I mean, like probably meditate. I don't like meditation.
You're making a kind of funny face right now.
Yeah, because I don't like meditation.
Yeah.
I don't.
You've done it and you don't like it?
No, I really don't like it, actually.
Like it has a reverse effect on you? You start getting anxious and sweaty and angry?
Yes, absolutely correct. Because, I think about myself all the time to start with, right? Like, I'm a live performer. Like, you see me develop. It doesn't, like, where does it come from? It comes from me. It comes from my experiences, right? So the more edgy a joke, the more things I have to deal with in myself. The darker places within myself.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what makes an edgy joke.
Yeah.
Because I can make fun of it, but in order for me to make fun of it, I have to realize it's within myself. That realization is a really hard process.
What is your most edgy joke, and can you do it for me now? And then
it really depends. It depends who you are. Like I think like my
for you, like for personally, what's your personally most edgy joke?
When I translate, I guess Adam and Eve as like God being gay.
Nice.
I think
I think I heard that. I don't know if I did. But.
Yeah, like I just think it's funny that God didn't create a woman right away. Like
He made the man
you
first.
created everything but one thing. Like you didn't see that coming. Like how did you not see that coming, right? And how would Adam would have that conversation? Like it wasn't created. Like nobody knows what it is.
Right.
Like how do you explain what it is? Like, I see rabbits do it. I want to do this too. Like, how do you do? Like everything. If there's apples, that means the trees are reproducing, right? Like, I'm just gonna put a little bit science into that.
Yeah.
So how did this conversation? And I like solitude, right? I like to think, and like Adam was supposed to be created in the image of God, right? So Adam is intelligent because God is intelligent. Like, God is no fool, right?
Yeah.
So like it's like what do you do? It's like it's not like he needed a woman to talk to it, right? He had God who was created, like, these two intelligent, like, what do you need a woman for? Like, and if I was God, I would be a little bit jealous.
Of Eve?
Like, what's up? I mean, it just sounds like the whole setup, right?
Maybe that's why women have had such a hard time, because God is just jealous, and
it's a really bad setup.
Yeah.
It's just a really bad setup. You think about it, like, like Adam is horny in paradise. Like, what is like? It's not like you go have sex with God, right? Because that's gay.
He could go have sex with an apple.
Yeah, exactly.
Carve a little hole out of an apple.
Right, but that's not right either. That's not in the Bible, right?
Maybe someone cut it out.
I don't
maybe
know.
that wasn't the Bible.
But even if you just break it down logically, like we know why God and Adam never got it on, right? Like we know this.
I don't know why.
Because I think the whole aspect of paradise would just go out the window, because we know, like, it's given that God is just going to come first all the time. Because we know that God comes first all the time. And that's a joke on God. And I think that's my edge's joke.
But you were talking about, like, something that makes you have to look inward, I thought.
Yeah, that does. Of course.
That one did? Okay.
Yeah, well...
Why, were you raised religious or something?
No, but religion is part of our society, right? It's like,
I guess I'm really different to religion. I don't feel like when I'm making religious jokes. I even participated in a show recently called Sacrilegious.
Okay.
I had to make a sacrilegious piece of art. And back when I was like in high school, I felt like it was more edgy for me. But now I'm like, I make sacrilegious art, and it just doesn't. Like, because I'm so agnostic.
Yeah.
It doesn't really.
You don't feel it's sacrilegious. You just feel it's what you do.
I only feel it's sacrilegious when I see other people's. And I don't see anyone, like, I'm not in those bubbles. Like, I have family members who would be really offended, and I'm afraid to see their face actually if they were to see or hear some of the things I say now. But everyone I'm with, it doesn't do anything for me. I just don't feel like it doesn't hurt me. I don't feel like I'm not shocking myself.
Well, I mean. In Jews believe you're supposed to question existence of God, which will make your belief so much stronger.
I guess Christianity doesn't, right? Yeah.
No, right? You're supposed
all about, like, blind faith.
Yeah, you have, which is also, like, I believe there's room for everybody, and as much as we could just discuss his sin and be like, oh, religious did all these really bad things to humanity.
Which they did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But they also did really good things.
Right.
And I think that's also just part of our history.
Yeah. Like communal things, like bringing people together, bringing family together. And
I mean, okay, any religion you read dietary.
What is that?
Dietary, any kind of like a dietary
aspect. For the diet?
Yeah, in a religion, that's great. That's how they survive, right? Don't eat this, and do this. That's also part of a religion.
Yeah, I can't cite anything right now, but I know what you're talking about.
Right.
And they come out like real specific times.
Right, days.
But then what gets weird is then they're saying the same thing for now, and it doesn't apply because our diets are different, our food is different.
Right, absolutely correct. But we do know there's certain aspects, the way our bodies, also our bodies are different than they were, like, they say 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So, we are different, but there's certain wiseness in that. I mean, one of the best things America gave to the world comes from church.
Mm-hmm. What is it?
12-step program.
What is the 12-step program?
It's for addicts.
Okay.
It's throughout humanity.
Is the 12-step program literally from
church?
It is?
Ohio.
Okay.
Church basement.
Okay.
It's the place on earth that said we are going to save people that nobody gives a shit about.
Nice.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to save billions. I don't even know, like, throughout humanity, how many lives throughout the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm stepping back on my... I had to go hardcore against religion for a long time to get out of it. And then, then I came so far out of it that I just didn't affect me anymore. I didn't care, but I had like a real hard atheistic standpoint. I'm more back to agnostic. We don't know. I don't believe anybody really knows anything totally. So to say one thing is true or not is kind of stupid. So
Uh,
I like to be on
right.
the agnostic side, and I love what you're saying. It's also healthy to sort of look at it and see what good it's done instead of just saying it's
Absolutely
totally
correct.
bad and
Yes, throughout the
do away with all of it. And,
Right. I mean, okay, so in America, I grew up without religion. I grew up in Soviet era where there was no religion.
Right,
But in
yeah.
America, it seems to be the way I see it, like Americans that grow up religious, they sort of, it's sort of like a relationship with your parents, right? So when you're young, you just look up to it and you're like, this is like, it has all the answers and blah, blah, blah. And then you start finding out that your parents are human beings and have faults, right? When you're a teenager, and then you start challenging them and blah, blah. And when you're adult, you're just like, you did this wrong and this wrong. And then you get older, you're kind of like, well, they're my parents and I love them. And it's kind of that's how I feel Americans, when you find that balance for yourself, I think people find happiness.
you think it's much different for you, or it's just all? Is it not the same with religion taken away, or is it?
It's much different.
It's
for
much
me.
different.
Yeah, it's
What was it like for you then?
religion itself.
Or there's everything you just said. Like how does everything you just said apply to you?
I didn't grow up with religion,
Right.
so there was no like my like our God was Lenin, so that didn't work out very well,
Yeah.
given because it fell apart. So
Right.
like imagine proving that Jesus was a fake kind of aspect, you know.
Yeah.
So religion, so when I was introduced to religion, it was, I mean, my parents are scientists,
What kind of scientists?
my physicists, yeah.
Wow.
So, like, I knew science, I knew evolution, like, I knew that. So, I knew that we came from continent of Africa. So when I came here, they were like, "Oh, it's there's Adam and Eve," and you're like, "Well, they must have been black then, because they're first people." But it's not the same story.
You must have given a lot of teachers a hard time, no?
No, there was no religion in school.
Right.
Yeah, I'm also a Jew, so it's not like what am I gonna do? Be damned? I'm already damned. I'm a Jew. It's like almost when I talk about like edgy God stuff, people are like, oh, and I'm like, it's okay, I got this. I'm a Jew. Like, it's all right, I got it. Whatever happens, I got this.
Yeah, you get to say a lot of things that certain people can't say, I think. Do you agree?
I don't think I can. I think I have.
You just do it?
I do it because there's no negative intent.
Right.
So it becomes edgy, right? Like if I was a racist, if I was prejudiced, if I disliked somebody,
Right.
then it would have come out very differently.
Right.
Just because I say edgy things doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
My interpretation of it is usually funny
Yeah. Yeah.
and honest, very honest,
Yeah.
So I can say anything I want.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't get away with it. I mean, you plan everything, right? It's like
Yeah.
you're an artist, you manipulate everything you have to get your idea across.
Yeah.
But you don't manipulate the idea itself, right?
I'm gonna have to think about that.
I don't manipulate my idea.
Okay. What do you mean you don't manipulate your idea? Like you have an idea.
Right.
I need to
So I'm
picture
choosing to talk about God being gay, right?
Right.
So I know what I need to say, right? And
Yeah.
I know this is like, like I don't I don't change what I say, but I could have a different setup, right? And I could have a different ending,
Okay.
right? So there's like you manipulate everything but the idea itself. The idea is the truth.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
you make people feel comfortable with saying little fibs here and there that people relate to. So, but you don't change the idea.
Nice. Well said. I like that.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you like write every day? Do you try to do it every day, or do you have routines and habits or best practices, or you just kind
You're
of
supposed to,
Right.
but I'm not ordinary. I write when I have an idea. no matter what kind of an idea it is, even if it's just a line, if it's just like, oh, I should put this word in there, I should try it like this. Whatever the idea is, I write it down. If I don't have an idea, I have nothing to write. So I'm just like sitting there.
You try not to do that. Get
I
yourself in a
really
position where
try
you're just
not
like
to do that.
staring at
Yeah,
the page.
because it's like I don't.
It doesn't feel good.
There's well. It's not that it's feel good. It just feels like it's a waste of time, right? Like throughout that time, instead of just sitting and staring at the piece of paper, I could be looking at the painting and seeing like a documentary and learning things that I haven't known before, which will give me more ideas, right?
Yeah, so that's how you work then. You just kind of
I go to
go through
museums.
life, try to inspire yourself, look at
Yeah,
art.
I try to look at other people's work of art, not comedy though.
Interesting.
I don't like watching.
So you literally come up with jokes walking through museums.
Yes.
Nice.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You don't think it's funny?
I do.
Of
No.
course.
I totally. I
I mean, like.
There's a lot to make fun of with
Right, it's
art history, people,
Yeah, it's history.
what people have done.
Yeah, so one time they had, I think, what was it? Italy, 15th century to like 17th century. I found my nose.
What do you mean?
I found my nose on the Pope.
Your nose was on the Pope?
Yeah, my nose was on the Pope. I even made mom like, Ma, is it the same nose? She's like, yeah, when you get older.
That's funny.
Right?
Yeah. It is funny when you see like a friend or someone you know in a painting
That's what I mean.
from like a long time
yeah,
ago.
I mean, we all, it's, what is it in physics that energy is constant? Right? There's no new energy created. So I feel the same way
It's
about
not created or
people.
destroyed. Yeah.
Right? So, like, that's how I feel about, like, we all, throughout history, we look alike, there's a certain, like, so yeah, you gotta be like, oh, it's me, my nose.
You gotta wonder. Do you believe in reincarnation?
I don't know. In regards to that, I don't know.
Like a percentage, or is
I
there a
believe
feeling
you
like
die.
it could?
I believe you're physically, you die. I believe your that emotional, spirit aspect, I think, is what you leave behind.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, like there could be versions of you that look like you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that spirit was inhabiting it. It's just kind of like it's a mathematical equation that repeats or something, right?
Exactly, right? There's
Because
just
we are essentially programs, really.
Of course, with DNA.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people would have a hard time, especially religious people might have a hard time admitting that or realizing it, but we are programs with DNA.
Yeah, but you also, there's like religious scientists.
Yeah, there is.
There is, right?
There
so
are.
that's like an oxymoron in a way. But I guess you live in modern times, so they find that, medium what makes them, succeed in their job, and they are two different stories. It's not the same story.
That is what's funny about it. Yeah, to be
it's
like
not at the same
to be applying the scientific method
into a religion.
Well, no, to what your work is essentially, while believing.
Right, but also like
funny stories and myths and
astronomy came from religion.
Uh-huh.
It was 12th century, 13th century Europe when it was starving, and men would become monks and join the church and would sit there, and count stars. With a combination of that and developing of Africa, and South America, we have astronomy.
Yeah.
So it's you can't change history, but it doesn't mean you can't derive something good from it.
Yeah, I mean, as an artist, I go all over the place. I get we get the privilege to we have the privilege of just being allowed to take from everything and interpret
mush it together.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
But I feel like with science, there's like a real responsibility to be very careful about what you're putting out there.
Of course, like
what you're saying and how you're saying it and everything.
Right, because it's all. In a way, 2 + 2 is 4, right? So if you go 2 + 2 is 3, people are like, no, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we don't see it as people, but there's like theses that people work on, and we as average people don't see it. But there's like, it's not like people wake up and like, I'm gonna do science now,
Yeah. Do you get angry a lot? Are you an angry person?
Yes, I do get angry.
You channel that into your work at all, or you keep it separate?
It depends.
What do you do when you get angry? What do you get angry at?
I get angry at everything. I get angry at everything that doesn't go my way.
Uh-huh.
Like I get, if I'm super sensitive, like I'll be angry at the person who like steps in front of me.
You mean like if you're in a super sensitive mood?
Yeah.
And you're like on the subway and someone's cut you off?
Yeah.
What do you do?
But I think it's nothing.
do you
I control,
choke it
yeah,
in?
no, I control myself. It's like, oh, you're ridiculous. Check myself. But it's also part of like I'm also very sensitive.
Yeah.
So I think it's also about being like that extra with emotions.
Uh-huh.
Like so, if I experience, like on the good side and bad side. So if I'm super sensitive to somebody's pain or love or whatever, I would be also super angry and super this. But, you check yourself.
Yeah.
I don't hit people.
You don't?
No.
But do you feel like you have like a good handle on it? Like you don't let the anger rule your life?
Nothing rules my life. I rule my life.
Nice.
So.
I feel like anger serves comedy really well, though. It can. It doesn't
Well,
have to, but it can.
Right.
Like if something's making you angry.
I am angry. That's
Yeah.
where it comes out. I see some sort of injustice.
Yeah.
But for, I think, comedians, it's not just like, somebody's hurting somebody like that, self-explanatory injustice.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like there's injustice in nature, right? There's injustice in like things that
Nature
are
is
nobody.
cruel.
It can be.
Yeah.
Right? There's injustice in like, like in just everyday life things that nobody's fault. So I get angry because I see that, but lashing out, like you can't do anything about it. You could translate it as an emotion, maybe write a joke about it. There's nothing I can do about religion, right? There's nothing I could do about Adam and Eve. It's going to stay like that no matter what, right? But I could crack a joke about it.
Do you think cracking that Adam and Eve joke came from sort of angry place in the first place? Is that a good example of that? Yeah.
Yes. It literally, like,
Were you in a museum looking at a painting, just thinking
No.
angry thoughts?
no, absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
So I was angry and expressing myself in public place. So I just want to, like, I'm not, like, I'm angry, but I'm not like, nonsense. I'm expressing myself very clearly on things I don't like. And this woman who was with me, she said, it's not ladylike. And I pointed out to her, I don't really care.
What you were saying? How you were
that
behaving?
I was angry.
Okay.
Right? And to me, it was fascinating that I was clearly mistreated, not only to me, but to other people. But to her, my reaction wasn't appropriate.
Yeah.
Because I got angry. And I really, like, there was no other emotion for me to experience, right? And then she's like, she starts bringing religion into it. And I literally thought if this woman had never had religion in her life, she would not have this problem with me. She was just in it, like, first of all, her job was
You
to
think
shut the
religion
fuck
specifically?
up.
It's also like a societal thing, it sounds like.
No, right.
That
so
women can't be angry,
she wasn't
right?
in the situation. It was between me and the person at the cash register, right? She was standing, first of all, like, none of your business, right? So I thought that she even spoke up because she felt she was righteous and she had God on her side. And then not the fact that they were mistreating me, is because I was strong, because I demanded attention. And I demanded to get what I paid for, whatever the situation came for. To her, it was not ladylike, and she had God on her side to tell me that.
It makes me think about what you said earlier about how women can be harder to you sometimes, right? It's like,
Right.
Yeah, because there's a lot of talk about how the patriarchy's been holding women down for a long time, but women end up they hold themselves down. Not their fault. It's just a societal thing. It becomes part of
No, it is
society.
their fault.
It's like
That's absolutely an
some of them can
individual
be
person
blamed.
fault. No, It is a responsible
It's,
of
it's a
that
responsibility to
individual.
grow past that, you think, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like I like how people point out how short my mini skirts are. I know how short my mini skirts are. If you're not comfortable standing next to me, go stand to somebody else. I am fully aware.
Yeah.
I put myself together in front of a mirror.
Yeah.
I am not confused.
Yeah.
That would be like, oh, do you perform in a miniskirt? I'm like, yes. Oh, that must be so rough. Absolutely incorrect. I'm funny.
So what?
Like, that must be so hard.
Oh, hard to perform in miniskirt?
Yeah. I mean, I started with, granted, I did start wearing miniskirts when I got funny. This was very important to me.
After you got funny or during?
On stage, yeah. I mean, I wore miniskirts since I was a kid. I love miniskirts, right? But on stage, yeah, after I got funny.
You waited till you got funny? You
Yes.
didn't do it at first?
No.
Why? Was there a reason?
Yes. Because sex appeal is very powerful, right?
And it kind of trumps everything, right?
It doesn't trump it. No, it doesn't trump. It's okay. So it's like,
Yeah, I know.
what do you
it doesn't
interpret,
trump.
right? If you have like beige, and you color splash, and you have red color splash, what's like first?
Obviously the red, yeah.
Right. So that's kind of like
That's
a
like
sex
a skirt,
appeal, right?
yeah.
Yeah. It's not in my mini skirt. Like, find
Yeah.
my mini skirt. I'm all over.
Yeah.
I'm good everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So
Was it like you wanted to be recognized? You wanted to develop yourself and be recognized as funny before you started getting attention for your
absolutely
sex
correct.
appeal?
Because now that I get attention for a sex appeal, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm just as funny as I'm sexy, and that works out
It's
very
like building
well.
the foundation around the thing you want it to be around,
Absolutely,
as opposed to the thing that.
And then owning sex appeal is just so much easier. Like, I use everything, including my education,
Yeah.
including this and including that. Doesn't make me who I am, but it's part of me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah,
why
I mean,
not?
I know we definitely all build our identities. Is that something you're like always checking and thinking about, or you're like, what's my identity now? I'm gonna reach, or do you just kind of go with it? Yeah.
No, it took me a while.
You were consciously
Yeah.
pushing, pulling, molding.
Absolutely correct. It took me not so much pushing, but getting comfortable with yourself. I think that's what it was. Like acknowledging this is who I am, this is how it's gonna be, and that's it.
This is how it's going to be is a very important acknowledgement,
Yes,
right?
yes,
You can
yes.
only shape yourself so much. Like you can shape yourself a lot more than you know. I think a lot of people can do more than they know.
But I don't think it was shaping. It was just identifying who I am.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Like that's what it is. Because
That's what actors learn. You have to learn who you are and how to use your instrument. You can't,
Right,
You can't just go
exactly.
be
Yes.
anybody.
Right,
Even though there are prosthetics and CG and everything.
Yeah, right. But in a sense, like once you know who you are, you could do anything, right?
Yeah. That's the foundation.
Yeah. I mean, like they say, no, you know your limitations. Yeah, but I also beat my limitation by knowing my limitation. If I know I'm limited, I know I have to work twice as hard. So hence, I wouldn't give up. I'm already prepared.
That leads right into something I wrote here, because I remember when you, me, and Will Dirty Pipes, we were walking
Right.
from 456 over to the old Gamba Forest.
Yes.
And I distinctly remember you talking about how hard you've had to work to get to what you do. It's like I think you were saying something like you don't feel like you were born with your abilities.
Oh
you
no,
had
I'm
to
not
develop.
talented. I'm not.
The
I
talent.
don't-
It's the old debate, like what's more important, talent versus skill.
Yeah, I'm not.
And I'm with you 100%. Like maybe I want to get you to talk about it. I don't want to preach it, but I think that the skill is more important than talent. Like
I mean, your skill becomes a talent, right? So I am not talented. I
Right.
am just a lot of, I think I don't give up. And I'm like that self-awareness. Like I know what I need to do. Like, so once I
like
know
you know
what
you got to put the work in. You gotta,
yes, like
yeah.
I was fully aware from like day one.
Yeah.
Once I made that commitment, I'm like, oh, this is shit. Like I know what I know. Like I kind of say like I had a really hard life in some aspects, and it really just prepared me for this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you did have a hard life, actually.
I am
really.
happy, but everybody has a hard life. Like, you know what I mean?
I know that's true. Everybody does have a hard life, but it's a fact that some people have it way harder than other people.
Yeah, these people have harder than me.
Yeah. Of course.
You know? And these people have it easier than me, but I don't know. It's you know, I know people who like come from supportive families and like all the aspects that I feel that I didn't get, or like, you know, my downfalls or whatever, you know, shaped me who I am. Once I got comfortable with it, it made me a better, stronger person. So once that came around, people who were always comfortable with their lives in certain situations, they never gonna beat me.
Yeah.
You know, so
Nice.
like you said, it's what you make out of it, you know?
Did I say that?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. I mean, I know I say it from time to time.
No, I think you
I don't-
said it just
I
like
can
recently.
I can never remember what I say on this podcast until
All
I'm
right,
listening
that's
back
great.
to it.
I would like my life to be like that.
What, forgetting what you say?
Yeah.
You can't forget what you say?
No, because I'm emotionally attached to it.
You're funny. I mean, yeah, I always go back and listen to these things, and I learn. I realize that sometimes I realize I didn't even hear what people were saying to me on the show sometimes, which is kind of awesome. I'm like, I mean, I kind of get it, but it's beautiful to listen back and hear it a second time, a third time as I'm finishing it, you know?
I find
Because I really do learn from everybody that comes on the show.
I find there's some really intelligent people that you could listen like over and over the same kind of like speech, and you could always find something new in it and inspirational. I mean, it's like, you know, what makes a classical book? It's the same words, same words over and over through like generations, right?
Yeah.
But you could just find something in it.
Yeah,
like
some
every
things just
time.
have a richer connection.
Yes,
Yeah, because
yeah.
ultimately it's like it's similar to our brain. Our brain is a
Right.
neural network. It's just like a mesh of stuff, and like a good culture is that. It's like whether it's comedy, book, movie,
Yeah.
whatever it is. It's just like
If
it's
it's
a
the
mesh of
same-
stuff, and
yeah,
if it's interesting
same-
and rich.
if it's good. I mean, like I don't know where the wild things are. I've been doing for 3 years. These people that come.
Chris Carr's comedy show.
Well,
he
it's a
does it with
variety
Nate too,
show.
right? And yeah,
Yeah, it's a variety.
it's a variety show.
Right.
I actually haven't been to those yet.
No.
No.
Oh, it's great.
I gotta go.
Yeah, it's like Lower East Side in 1970s.
Yeah, bizarre.
It's a whole bunch of really talented people doing things that are not socially, you know, within like entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great. I think it's one of the best shows in New York
one of your
City.
favorite shows?
Yeah, it really is.
Wow.
Not to just perform on, just to be.
Just to be there.
Yeah. It really is.
When I first saw you perform, it was at the Summer Festival.
Right.
Was that similar to Where the Wild Things Were in terms of how he put that show together that night?
Yeah, but I think he had more comedians during the festival. I think he had 4 or 5 comedians. It's usually me.
You're the only comedian at Where the
I
Wild
mean,
Things Are usually?
Yeah, I've been doing it for 3. I want to tell this story, right? So, one time, it's a very hard room. It's one of the hardest rooms that I have, like.
You mean
in New York
bizarre
City.
or just
Yeah.
bizarre?
Yeah,
But
and that show, because
why do you think that is?
I will tell you why.
Okay, that's part of the story.
Yeah, because the audience is educated. Everybody is very educated, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean they're intelligent. You know,
We're delineating between intelligence and education.
right. But because in our society, like we discussed before, if you do this and this, you become this, right? So it's kind of checks the reality of things for some people, but because they are educated and they, some of them are very prosperous in a career because you have to buy drinks there. You can't just go there and be like a starving artist like me.
Yeah,
Right.
I wish I could hang out there more, but I can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Me too. I just performed there though.
I always try to. I have to get free drinks. The owner gives me free drinks sometimes.
That's awesome.
And Chris, whatever. I only go there if like I know I'm getting hooked up.
Right, because we're artists,
The drink
right? But
ticket.
if you're a patron, it's not,
Yeah.
it's not a $2 thing. Like, so
Yeah.
most of the people that do come here have careers or making money or have, like, whatever the reason, and educated.
Yeah.
So that combination, and if you're not intelligent, that's a very bad combination because it makes you a snob, it makes you cocky. Like, I've been heckled by freaking grown men.
And you think they're like an educated snob class?
Yes.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that about that place. I
Yes.
didn't realize it was that.
Yeah,
Group of
but
people.
but it's also but I just want to say also from that group you have really talented artists, really like. So I don't want to say that's all type of people, but there's a certain like
some of the
that
patrons,
generational
some of the people who are
aspect,
there,
right?
yeah.
Everybody's educated, so what does that mean?
Well, I mean, I'll say that every time I'm there, something outrageous, someone's really challenging something on stage. Like the performances there at pretty much every show I go to,
Right.
are more so than any other venue I think I've been to,
Right, but
are consistently
okay,
challenging
but
things.
you see what I mean? Like, yeah, they
And
challenging.
then there's one person in the crowd who's like, why is this guy's
Right.
dick hanging out? Or what's
Right.
this? And,
Right,
it's
like who the hell are you talking about during performance? And
Yeah.
you're the only one. That's a snob.
Yeah.
That's a snob.
I see what you're saying too. They're educated, but they're not intelligent. Right.
Not everybody, but they, when you're not intelligent and you're not educated, like hopefully you have street smarts and shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? There's something that replaces that, and everybody's different.
Yeah.
Thank God we're not all the same and this
Right.
and that,
The variety of humanity is
right.
vast.
And you could be uneducated and intelligent and smart. Like, you know what I mean? Like
I do.
There's that whole combination. But I just feel because people went to school, they think they're all that.
It's
And
entitlement and all kinds of weird things come into play. Yeah.
So I find in a way that type of a crowd will heckle me more. So in that way, it's really, really hard place, like one of the hardest places to perform. Because, I mean, you go to urban, it's hard. It's hard, right? And not to say they're not educated, but it's more compassion. It's,
They know how to have fun.
Yeah, and they will also they expect things from you to challenge them. Where like this generation doesn't want to be challenged. They don't want to hear things that they think are uncomfortable. I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. And like and it seems like they go through life until they enter real world and meet me on the subway.
They look over your shoulder and see a bunch of profanity written at the top of your page.
Yeah, or go to my comedy show and like I mean I had a man with gray hair, like literally offended
what did he
when
say?
I said rape. Like I have a joke about my great grandmothers, like as soon as he come on, no.
You can't do that.
Okay, like all right.
So what
like,
did you do? You finished the joke, or did you have to respond to that guy?
Well, I had to respond to him because obviously he wasn't putting all the words together. It's
He
like,
was saying no.
He was just like heard a word and that was it. But then like if you don't talk about these issues, they don't come to light. You can't deal with it.
Yeah.
So like it's like I'm really scared that there's about like what are they 18 now? Like within 5 years, these people will have like authority positions and like now we're struggling. I mean like they had 20 fucking Batman movies.
Yeah.
Like. Art's always like that struggle until something original comes. So if people get like, this makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, it's a reality of things. Reality is very uncomfortable, but that's how you derive the truth. And that's what will make you comfortable.
How did the Batman movies fit into that? I just lost you on that.
Oh, like in regards to arts?
Yeah, or whatever you're saying right
Yeah, I mean, like, why do we need 20 fucking Batman movies?
Right.
Like, what? Like, what have you revolutionized in this Batman, right? So money could have been investment in doing something original, right?
Right.
So we have, we have that type of pattern. So we like, it's uncomfortable with something new. Like, because we know what makes money, right? We know what people like. So if we push this, something new, there's, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right, so like it's uncomfortable to hear things that I don't like. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like okay, but there's a stagnant in society, which is kind of going.
So I call this an arts and entertainment podcast, and I always think like the entertainment part is the part that causes there to be that many Batman movies. It's just like it's guaranteed entertainment. There's a certain percentage of the population that's always going to pay.
Exactly.
Guaranteed to fill seats. And it is entertaining. I was just watching Batman the other night.
But
I agree with you 100%.
I
I'm
do
kind of sick
get
of a lot of
entertained.
superhero movies. And then the art comes in. That's where the art comes in. We need to challenge. Art challenges everything.
Yeah,
It's
and
like-
I just want to, like, superhero movies do revolutionize things, right?
They do.
Technology, the way, you know, like, I don't want to take anything away from that, but come on.
Yeah, I think superhero movies are going through a funny phase right now because they continue to chart new territory and do awesome new things.
Right.
But there are too many of them, and it's infecting all movies. It's like the superhero genre is bleeding out into everything, actually.
Yeah, because like Wonder
like-
Woman was the highest, but they know it works.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna try to shove that shit everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
will.
money's money. Obviously, people are going to keep
Yeah, you know, like
going after that.
Star Wars, when it came out, it was a revolutionary.
It was.
It was. Now Disney makes it. It will never be edgy.
Yeah, Star Wars is
They know what
unfortunately,
works. It will never be edgy.
I have to smoke a joint before seeing Star Wars, and I have to go like 5 meta layers deep into like tricking myself into putting myself into a place where I can just enjoy it, because it is so kind of disappointing watching Star Wars movies.
It's not disappointing. It's just that there's nothing changing in it because they know it works.
Yeah,
They
it
know.
it disappoints me. They don't challenge anything. They're doing
Right, because it's
especially
Disney.
the first one that was just recently.
Yeah.
Because the last one's about to come out, but the first, I forget what they're called. I can never remember. Episode 5, 6, 7. 1, 2,
How many
3, 4, 5,
toes
6,
you
7.
got?
Episode 7.
Okay.
That one was super disappointing to me. But yeah, blah blah blah. I don't even really want to talk about Star Wars with you, or do I? Do I?
Yeah, why
Are you
not?
a Star Wars fan?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I didn't grow up with it, but
Mm-hmm.
I love the comics world. I love it. I think it's like a comedy.
You're saying you read the comic books or the comedians who are in the movies? What do you mean?
No, I mean comic books.
Okay.
I
You read the
don't-
Star Wars comics?
No, I don't read comics.
Okay.
But I like its culture.
Okay.
Because I think it's the most like, okay, in paintings, right? Like, you know, it's what you believe art is. It's either a reflection or a challenge, right? So I believe it's a reflection because my art reflects me, you know, what my so
I think it's both. Could be both, yeah.
to some people, right? So in my interpretation of reflection, right, to paint a painting takes a long time. To write a book, it takes a long time. You know, comic is like right there in your face reflection. You know, not to say it doesn't take a long time to write a comic. It's
Some
just,
comics do. Most comics are written pretty quickly, and most comic artists draw them in a month.
right.
And
So
it's a
there's a
timeline.
boom,
They got to
very
crank them
fast
out.
reflection, right?
Yeah.
Very fast reflection. And it's not like it's journalism, it's art. Not to say journalism, but it's a different form of
Hold on a
art.
second. There are some comics written by journalists and drawn by journalists. It's like journalism bleeds in. It's like
No, it's
yeah.
journalists that do art. I think that, you know, just because they're journalists doesn't mean that's the only thing they could do. You know, they could be an artist. I'm sure there's journalists that draw and play piano.
Yeah.
you
There's
know
all
what I mean?
kinds of bleeding boundaries.
Right,
and-
because we're all humans. Like, we all do these different things.
Things
So,
cross over.
so I feel as far as like art forms go, like comedy, comic books are the fastest reflection in a way. And if you look at the comic book culture, it always challenges mainstream culture. Hence, you have bad superheroes, right? Because, you know, culture got to where like they would worship all superheroes. And the comic book world was like, no, you know what, that's not true. Blah, blah, blah. And then it switched back because society was changing.
But yeah, what you're talking about applies to all media. Period. Like
Absolutely.
the anti-hero is super popular now.
Right.
Because even
now,
10 years ago, everybody in Hollywood and everybody all over the place, people, and I'm not really in the industry, but even the part of the industry that I am in, everybody's always like, you got to make the character likable, relatable, likable,
what
and
I mean?
relatable.
But
and
not
it's like,
today.
but that doesn't mean you have to make them totally perfect and sweet and happy and
Right,
nice.
exactly.
We need flawed characters, and the anti-hero is super popular now.
But that's what I'm saying. The comic book comes out like fast, so it's right there. It's a very fast reflection of a society, and I think it reflects a society really well.
Yeah.
Like that culture, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
They're also very counterculture. A lot of them. They
That's
have
what
very
that
counterculture
is a
ideas and,
reflection.
like,
Counterculture is a reflection of a society.
Right. It's the thing.
social-
It's the thing that like mainstream people and politicians maybe don't want you to know, or corporations maybe don't want you to know. But
Well,
in the
maybe
art
they
and
don't
culture,
even see it.
Yeah, or they don't
There's
see it.
things like, like I said, there's like injustice just happens, but there's some good things that just happen. There's a lot of things that people like either don't pay attention, don't know it's there, whatever. So you would have an artist to do it.
Yeah.
And there's a comic book, right?
Yeah. But yeah, they have. I think they do. They wake up. It's good. There's like the violent aspects. There's things in comics and culture that are bad for kids, right? But I think a lot of kids get into it young. Like you go after the things you're not supposed to get into young.
Let me tell you something.
And you don't know why you're getting into it, but it seeps into your subconscious, and later on you realize, oh, this was telling me that about society.
Right. I mean, like before women were I am doing air quotes equal,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
There was superheroes in comic books.
Wait, say it again.
I mean,
Before
there
equal,
were women superheroes in comic books before there were CEOs.
Yeah, that's true. There's been female
So
superheroes.
if I'm a little
like
girl,
Wonder Woman is a big new thing in the movie industry, but Wonder Woman's been around for a long time.
Absolutely correct. Since 1960s, I
Comic
think.
books are-
Some 50s or something like that.
Comic books are a place where like a lot of things you can't do. Either it's a money thing or a
Absolutely
culture
correct.
thing. You can do. Is that kind
In
of what you're
comics,
saying? You can
yeah.
slip them into comics.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a reflection of a culture.
Yeah.
So it's right there. So if I'm a little girl, I'm growing up, I don't see any CEOs around me, but I see a Wonder Woman doing all these amazing things. Why wouldn't I believe I could be a CEO?
Yeah. Yeah. Comics are only because of them becoming so popular. Movies, more women are getting into them. But to this day, I think it's hard to get girls and women to read comics, and
I don't think so.
I mean.
I don't think you want to get people to do something.
Yeah, I don't want to say that. You're right. I want to rephrase it. Not trying to get them into it, but it's a fact that they don't read it as much.
Okay, so there's like men don't do as much as some things women do. You know what I mean? Like, if you make it available and accessible to people, whoever wants it will do it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you can do.
I don't want to say anything to get myself in trouble here, but technically they've been around. They've been accessible. They used to be cheaper. Now they're more expensive.
Right, exactly. So I grew up where I have never identified myself as a girl. Like that was never part of my identity. I was just is.
So,
but it wasn't like I was a girl and he was a boy and I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like boys, like that was the other way around. So I never grew up like that.
You're not saying you identified as a boy. You're just saying you didn't identify as a girly girl, and you were like, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Like a girl, for me to be a girl was just a difference between my brother.
Uh-huh.
That's the only difference.
Uh-huh.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
So I never felt that I was a girl. Like I was just me.
Right.
Who happened to be a girl.
Yeah.
In that sense. So I never my parents never made me feel not equal to my brother.
Right.
I never felt unequal. Like that came much later in my life. That the world took care of that, but never my parents. So I think it also comes from home. So if the comics books around, and they're there, I mean, right? It takes a mother or father to buy you one.
Yeah, whatever it is. It's weird. Everybody gets into different things for different reasons, right?
Exactly. But
and you can't be forced. It's got to be some kind of weird natural thing that entices you into it.
Exactly. Well, that's the best part.
Yeah.
That's the best way to be, right? It's when it's weird and awkward and natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So we talked about most things. I just wanted to shout out Sir Nate because I realized he made your jingle on your YouTube channel.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Totally.
And I want to talk about your show because you do your own show.
Yes.
Tell us about that show.
I actually reinvented myself right now, but I have a talk show called Upa in Space on public access in Manhattan, Channel 2 every Sunday at 10:30 p.m. And I started producing a live taping of a comedy show at the public access studio once a month.
Where's the public access studio?
It's on 59th Street between 10th and 11th Avenue West in Manhattan. So
Can people go to that? Is it a live show?
yeah, it's a live show. It's a free live show. There's no food or drink minimum. Our headliners are New York City headliners. And it was really, I started doing that because I'm not getting stage time. Like mainstream, which I mean clubs, comedy clubs. I don't feel being accepted.
Have you done any big comedy clubs?
Yeah, sure. I think I've been on every stage.
Nice.
Yeah, except like Comedy Cellar. I've never auditioned for them.
My roommate works at Comedy Cellar.
He does.
She?
What's her name?
Server. Amanda.
Amanda.
I don't know if she wants me shouting her out.
I might know.
Yeah, I'll. Damn, did you go there a lot?
Yeah.
You just missed her. She like left and went to work. I think,
yeah,
right
I have
before you got here.
friends that hang out there. Like I have friends that perform there. I hang out one of my like closest friends is he's a headline at the Cellar.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't actually been in there. I don't think ever. I've been out there.
It's
I've been outside of it plenty of
supposedly like
times.
the best comedy club in the world.
Well, I mean, a lot of comedians just drop in, and it's just
Famous
a cool
people,
place.
yeah. But then, there's like famous comedians, and I think you have to keep on doing to stay a comedian, right?
Wait, you have to keep doing comedy stage.
Yeah, like in order to stay a comedian, you have to keep on doing it.
Yeah,
like, you have to
it's
keep
like
on
anything else. You gotta exercise.
Right,
muscles.
exactly. And I have seen famous people pop into open mics. I have seen famous people. Oh yeah, this is one of the examples. I was doing late night at Comic Strip. I was asked to do late night, and they would always put me last, so I would go on stage like at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Show started at 8 p.m. I was on stage at 1. And I had a girlfriend that came in with her girlfriend to watch me. And they came in, and it was already like 11, 12 o'clock. And Chris Rock literally walked in and just did like a 45-minute set and like walked off. And then I went on stage. It's just like, whoa, like that's
cool.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you're a comedian, if you're just a comedian, that's what you do.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Like you just get on stage. You
Yeah.
need to in order to stay a comedian, you need to practice. I mean, I seen Jerry Seinfeld do comedy, Chris Rock, Louis C.K. I seen Dave Chappelle. I mean, I seen everybody I think do comedy.
Just because you were doing it and they popped in, or
Yes,
you just
yeah.
I saw Dave Chappelle outside the Comedy Cellar.
You there?
Yeah, and he's notorious for going there. He just stays up there for like hours, and like everybody loves him, but he's like literally up there till like sunrise, I think sometimes, and they hate him for it.
There's a couple.
They've heard a little bit.
I don't think he's the only one. Like
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of comedians that do that.
They just love the stage.
It's
just like they're more comfortable there or they're maybe not more comfortable. They just love it so much they can't get off.
I mean, yeah, they express themselves, right? How
Yeah.
badly do you want to get your idea across?
Yeah. I mean, if I was a comedian, if comedy was my main art form, I would be up there all the time because I'm obsessive. I do art all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And repetition makes you better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. There's Ziggy crying in the background. What kind of what do you like talking about? Is there anything we didn't talk about that you want to talk about?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think we discussed a lot of things.
Is there anything I'm leaving out?
I don't know. Okay.
You want to do some comedy?
Not really.
I thought about it because I've been shooting a lot of our mutual musician friends.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But I feel like me and Alone with a Comedy shooting a comedy set.
Can I tell
it's
you
like
something?
you need an audience, right?
I mean, the audience is nice, but I have done sets in like a room with a camera only.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I found to be as great education, and I never want to do it.
You don't want to do it.
No.
It's not right. It's not natural. Something feels weird about it, right?
Yeah. I think
It's like a rehearsal. We're shooting a rehearsal or something.
You need you put out the energy you get, so you're not getting anything like
Yeah.
It just becomes different. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, with comedy, you really need that like energy from the audience.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Whereas like music, you can kind of just do it alone.
No, you still need it, but it's
No.
immediate. It's immediate in comedy. It's
Yeah,
just
not
so
not to say
immediate.
that like the audience doesn't feed a musician.
Right, so when you
But you
end
could
this,
totally
when
play a
you
song
end-
beautifully alone.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
with nobody clapping or expressing themselves, just sitting there listening to you, right?
Yeah.
But when you're a comedian, like nobody expresses themselves for
It's
like
weird.
5 minutes on stage, you know you're bombing, right?
Yeah, if I were to shoot you like, and it's just the two of us, am I supposed to be your laugh track? Because I don't really like laugh out loud at comedy shows. I'm not like laughing
you laugh at
hysterically
things
all the
that
time.
are funny.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious, and I'm just like smiling, you know.
Okay.
And like, so if I were to shoot you right now, am I supposed to like force myself to laugh? That would be awkward.
You never have to force yourself to laugh. That's the worst thing ever on the planet.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, it's kind of like I like telling jokes when
Yeah.
it's on one-on-one that are not mine that I think are funny.
Uh-huh.
Like I like telling jokes, like because there's some jokes that I really like, you know.
Yeah.
So on one-on-one, I prefer I guess an individual sense of humor, opposed to where I'm on stage and you just follow me. Like it's like Christianity.
Right. There's a religious element to like watching someone on stage. Everybody worship the person on stage a little
If
bit.
they're good.
If they're good, yeah.
If they're good. Yeah, you do get aspect of worship
Yeah.
when you're good.
Have you felt worshipped? Like
Sometimes.
highly worshipped ever?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's awkward.
How did you feel about the last time I saw you, which was at the Wildlife Loft, the holiday party? Was that a good night for you? I thought it was great.
Yes, it was because I was doing a new joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a completely.
And it went well, right? Because I feel like that night went really well for you.
Yeah, it did. I think so. Yeah, I totally agree. I had a
Yeah.
good set. Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
It was a very hard set though, and I was being booed by another artist.
Who? What? I don't remember.
You wouldn't see it because she was standing right in front of me, just doing like.
What was it?
Down.
You don't need to call her out. What
I
was the
can
joke?
call her out.
Okay.
She freaking heckled me as well.
What was it? I don't remember this at all.
Annie, are you okay? Is that the chick?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the chick.
She's the musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, like I always translate, like she was like, because it was a hard set to start out because I actually had to do comedy after a lot of musical artists who were like hyped and everybody
Which is
was
just normal.
up.
It's not just the hype, it's the emotional shift. Like music is, I talk about this a lot on the show because I go to all these shows and it's our same circle. It's funny to mix comedy and music. They don't totally blend.
No, and you should do like, the rule is you should do comedy before music.
It warms up better, you think?
Well, I mean, like, there was such a great artist. People were hyped. People were jumping. Like, what am I supposed to do as a comedian? Like, ha, like that. You know what I mean? It's like, I think one of the hardest places in a comedy show is going after somebody who did really, really well.
Of course, yeah.
Right? Because then you have to translate audience to your character. Right? So harder thing is to go after a band that did really well.
Yeah.
Because people are hyped. People
It's
like
like
and
a
you
double
saw
layer of
everybody was
translation.
standing.
Yeah.
It was a packed place and everybody was standing. I was literally standing next to people doing comedy.
Yeah,
There was
there's another one of those places, no stage, just a room full of people standing.
Right. And then I had to deal with a DJ who decided for some fucking reason intervene into my jokes, which is, don't do that, DJs. Ever.
I'll shout him out. Domo's so crazy.
So I'm controlling the room, right? I have to control the room after a very hyped up set, musical sets.
Yeah.
I have a DJ who is not letting me be in full control because for some fucking reason he decided to punch my jokes up, which never works.
You didn't want that,
Just don't.
Yeah.
Right? And then on
I don't
top
think
of it,
I don't think it ruined it, but yeah, if you don't want it, you don't want it. Yeah.
I didn't write jokes for him. It's
Yeah.
not like when he DJs, I come up and start pressing buttons, right? Like, so don't do it. Just don't do it. Just because you think you can, don't.
Yeah.
Okay? I have this girl, like, booing me,
Yeah.
right? Within, like, 15 seconds. So, like,
What was it? A rape joke? What was the thing she was doing?
I
do you
think he was
remember?
just booing me.
Just you, period?
Yes.
What?
Why would would you boo? Like, yeah, I
No.
think so.
Who knows?
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Not my first one. Not my first one at all.
So yeah, you had, but I think you triumphed. You had a lot of opposition. You felt like a lot of opposition that night, or a lot of resistance.
There was a
And,
lot of circumstance besides being environmental. There
Yeah.
was also people who were like, you know, like
Also, the 420 thing. I mean, super 420 friendly crowd. I don't think smoking weed goes totally. It's not that it doesn't go hand in hand with
Yeah, it
with
does.
smoking with comedy, but I think you get. I could be wrong. You probably know better than me.
I
but I feel like
don't think
people
it matters.
don't laugh as loud when
I
they're
don't
high.
think
No?
it matters.
No?
My show that I produce, a completely sober show.
Okay.
There's like, if there's no alcohol, there's nothing there.
Well, I mean, you can't do it in that space, right?
Right, so people laugh.
You're not allowed to.
People laugh at the same jokes that the potheads laugh,
Yeah.
or the drunk or sober or this or
Okay.
this, you know.
Well, maybe it's because you're a pothead, or maybe there's something about you that kind of.
No, my jokes are funny. That's what it is. That's why everybody laughs. It's really that simple. There's
Yeah.
nothing about me, but my jokes are funny. That's why people
That's an important
laugh.
point to make.
Yeah, that's why people laugh. But in that situation, there was just like there was a lot of things I felt were going against me,
Mm-hmm.
or not allowing me to control my set. You know, and if you remember, like I did about 10 minutes. It took me at least 2 minutes to get people like for that first burst all together.
I don't totally remember. I remember you as doing a great job. I thought you killed that night. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But there was a
But
lot of.
I didn't. I'm pretty sensitive to the pressure. I didn't see any boo you.
Well, you
I saw
would
Domo. I saw Domo doing that thing with the DJ shit.
Yeah, and-
but I thought that I thought it was bridging a little bit. So that
You know
I get
what?
that it pisses
You know
you
what?
off. Though.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
The whole show was good. It
Yeah,
was
I
great.
think my set was great, but just because my set was great, that you know, I'm gonna just say that was a reflection of me as an artist.
Yeah.
You know,
You've been doing it for a while now.
Yes.
You've been working hard.
Yes.
Putting in the hours.
Right. So, but altogether, that was not the best, and I was so nervous too. And I was hanging out with Will, right? And he's like, "Oh, you seem." I'm like, "I'm very, very nervous because I'm gonna do this new joke."
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Like, what is it about?" I'm like, "It's very, very edgy." He's like, "What is it about?" I'm like, "It's about becoming a prostitute." And he was taken back. I saw him. Like, you know, and we're artists, and we're so if somebody that
What is the prostitute joke?
Oh, how today's days of age due to minimum wage and equal pay, I don't understand why I know how to read. Like I should just be a whore, some sort of. It just seems like it's a better investment.
And with apps make it easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complex joke. It's not just like, oh, I'm doing, you know, but it speaks about modern world and like, you know, the thing that we were discussing before. I found 27 words synonymous with a prostitute,
Right.
and I can't get one word that means a woman likes to have sex for fun.
Yeah.
Not one word in
Yeah.
any language.
Yeah.
Like Googled it in Russian and Spanish, nothing. Just humanity does not accept that.
I mean, nymphomaniac, is that considered kind of like that's a negative?
Yeah, that's a negative. That's
Is
an
it?
issue.
Yeah, it's an issue.
Yeah, it's an
a
issue.
conditioned.
Yeah, no, it's an issue.
Rather than a positive.
It's an issue, right? Like it's medical term.
Right. Yeah, maniac. Right.
It's an issue.
Yeah.
Nope, there's not one word. See, like so. You see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I love it.
No,
It's a great.
not one word. So yeah, there's a lot of aspects in that joke, but I think the fact that it's just, you know, yeah, he was taken back. I'm like I see you being taken back. He's like, yeah, well, you know. But as a joke, it was great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I found that crowd would be the most challenging crowd for the same reason as we discussed before.
For Bizarre Bar, because
Yeah.
there's people who
They're
are
very educated.
They're not gonna want to hear something. They're gonna
They're
be
very
resistant to it.
educated. They, you know, they're
Yeah.
very educated. Like everyone is educated.
It always shocks me though when people just don't get that it's a fucking comedy show. It's like, come on, this is a joke. It blows my mind sometimes that people get upset at certain things.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, but on other things, like these things that I miss, that other people get upset, and rightfully, that I'm just not a part of because it's not in my world or whatever. So, you know, like...
What things you say?
No,
Or just
just
things,
in the world.
things in general. Yeah.
Just things that, like, they, you know, like, how would I know about police shooting black men if, you know, if it wasn't on TV? It doesn't happen next to me. right?
Well,
I don't
also-
see it. So the outrage, right? So the reason I know, because there's outrage, because there's protests and something. Like, do you say like people are too sensitive to it? Some people will say that, but for me, it's like, great, be sensitive.
It's fine to be sensitive, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't make jokes or say certain things.
Absolutely correct. And you know what?
Because you can't- because
I'm not I'm not racist. I'm not this. So you
Yeah.
know, I'm not a
Right.
bigot. I'm not any of those things.
Right.
So I make jokes.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I say. I make jokes.
Yeah.
You know.
And you can't account for all the people who had traumatic experiences.
Absolutely.
And have triggers and
Absolutely.
things like that.
Absolutely. I can't.
You can't censor yourself.
No, I
according to that.
can't. I
Yeah.
just know I'm not about. I mean, like people don't know, but in my set, one of the most opening lines is that I'm not retarded.
Right.
Right.
It's just an accent.
Right. It's just
Yeah.
an accent.
Do you
But-
always open with that, or often open with that?
Sometimes, yeah. It's one of my
It's
my
a good-
openings.
It's a solid opener. You know, it's
Right.
going to get a certain like.
reaction.
It's going to put people on a certain.
Absolutely correct. Now,
It brings them in.
Now, there are people who will find that offensive because of what this word used to stand for. I find it offensive when I'm called that. Right? And I've been called that all my life.
That's
that
an example of
offensive.
because of who you are, you get
Right.
to say certain things. I
No,
think.
no. Well, because I have been referred to as
Right.
one.
If I made
right?
that joke, it would be really inappropriate.
No. If you made that joke, it's funny, then it's funny. But
No, but I don't have an accent, and nobody's calling me retarded.
right, but that's
so-
my interpretation. Like I'm not the only one that makes it fun. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people that, but they usually were called retarded.
Right.
Right. That's why they say it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a perfect example of a dangerous word to say.
Absolutely
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
One of the more dangerous words,
Yeah.
right? So I'm kind of, and people are like, oh, you shouldn't say it. But if I don't say it, then you can't challenge yourself to believe, should I say it or not? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying in a derogatory tone.
I'm glad you say it. Yeah, I think there are certain people who should not say it.
Absolutely
and
correct.
should
If you're
stop saying
mean and
it.
cruel, don't say it. Then
Yeah.
you say it like, I'm not saying it derogatory tone. For me, it's more, I'm dealing with stuff that I've been called as a kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
That to me seems like something that would piss. If I were you, I would be more pissed off about that than whatever else you told me about that you were angry about earlier. If someone did that to me, I'm sure you got over it by now. If it's happened
I
to you,
think,
but-
can I tell you something? I also know this, that our mental health is really, we just starting, be open-minded about it, right? So I do believe there are people who were called that as a medical term, right? Who were, who felt they didn't fit in, for who it was derogatory. I do believe there are people out there, However, and it was derogatory towards me, right? So I can't be responsible, for people who are not, I wanna express myself correctly about this, right? Who, I don't want to say sensitive because it does come from somewhere. Like nobody gets offended because it's like, oh, like I don't care, right? Being offended comes from somewhere, but I can't, like. I also can't go like, well, how comfortable are you with yourself? Let's review that. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, you have to let go of some things. And the way my mother said the best, you're not $1 for everybody to love you.
Say that again?
You're not $1 for everybody to love you.
You're not $1 for everybody to love
Because
you?
everybody loves $1.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I can't.
Yeah.
It's okay. I see people walk out. Like when I do my Jewish joke, like I seen like Jews, and they'll be like,
Which one is it? Did we already talk about the Jewish joke?
I don't know how. We have to. I have a couple of them.
Yeah, you have more than one, right?
Yeah, but like, if I'm going to make fun of Russians and my great grandmothers, I'm also going to make fun of the fact that I'm a Jew and a woman and all those things that are about me.
That's the point of comedy, though. It's like
Absolutely
you
correct.
gotta make fun of it. You're shining a light on everything.
Right.
It's just like,
Just don't be a racist.
yeah.
It'll come out.
Don't actually be a racist. Exactly.
don't be a racist, period.
That's what's great about comedy. Like you shine through, like who you really are.
You can.
We've been talking for a while now. I want to wrap it up, but I just realized there's two questions that I didn't ask you. Do you feel like you've had to struggle against the patriarchy?
Yes.
And do you think the patriarchy is real? What is it?
Yeah.
What's going on with that in your world?
ready. And I don't think it's just my struggle. I think it's because I don't want to be like, oh, I don't like this, I should be that. That's not how I feel. I just think there should be different things there, not necessarily me. I think I do belong there. That's self-confidence, right? But I just don't believe like that's a table for me. I believe it's a table for a lot of different things. Yes, Amy Schumer making millions of dollars of her Netflix special. Why? Who watched this and said, well, this is worth millions of dollars? Who was this person? And this wasn't one person, right? Like no one person is in charge. This went through channels. Because Chris Rock produced her. So he said, yeah, there you go. If it wasn't a Chris Rock production, do you think she would get this money? Do you think she would even get it? Like, I want to find, please, somebody, one person. Have you watched her special from the beginning to an end on Netflix? You know, the ones that she got a double-digit $1 million for?
I actually haven't, so I can't.
I want one person. One person.
Do you not like it or something? Is this something?
I haven't met one person. Like, look, these things that I don't like.
Yeah.
But there'll be other people that do like. I have not met one person that watched the thing from beginning to an end.
Damn, hating on Amy Schumer's
I'm not
Netflix
hating.
special.
It's crap. How about being honest? That's crap. And they keep, like, again, it's my opinion. I think she's great in movies. I think she's a really hard worker. I think, like, I will give her credits for a lot of things, but that's crap. That's crap.
I like her. I don't hate her, but I haven't seen the special, so I can't.
There's a
I
reason
can't talk
why,
about it.
because it's crap.
I mean, no, I just haven't gotten to it yet. But now that you're telling me, maybe I won't see it. I'll be like, I don't want to watch crap.
Go watch it.
I'll check it out.
I want to see how many minutes you could stay.
I'll let you
there.
know. I'll text you. I'll be like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Not even.
Not
about
even?
5 to 10 minutes. That's
what
average. That's an average. I mean, like I was.
That's rough.
Yeah. No. That was 3.
It's honest.
Until
You're being
like
honest.
2 minutes, people are like, stop. Turn this off. I mean, I have friends who are like, okay, I'm judgmental about comedy, but I have friends who like, I like a lot of things. I'm like, no, they're like, yeah, all right, whatever. And they can't even watch that. So yeah, I do believe. I believe there are people
I will turn
pushing
comedy off if it's bad, if it's not going anywhere.
So
like,
I believe there are people pushing other people for other reasons than being funny.
What is it?
Amy Schumer.
Just Amy Schumer?
No. I think it's a lot of. I mean, like you want to turn.
This started with the patriarchy.
Yeah.
You're blaming Amy Schumer's
I'm not
shitty
blaming
Netflix
her.
special on the patriarchy.
Well, yes, because it's crap. I'm not blaming her, but that's a result, right? That's a result of it. Why is she being rewarded for crap? Like anybody? Hello.
Well, I guess with her, she's just become such an uber celebrity. It's
well,
it's a money
I
thing.
think that's the only reason I bring out this example.
People think,
because
this is a surefire success.
Right. But that's also why I bring her. I don't want to say that she's alone. She is uber success. There's people that are, like, turn on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crap. They just don't become uber success. So
right.
I do want to point out that I am pointing her out because she is that uber successful.
But this also, maybe, I don't know if this is a patriarchy thing. Maybe Netflix is the patriarchy. I don't know. But it's just Netflix in general is just pumping out a ton of stuff.
Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah.
Right. But patriarchy wasn't Netflix. It was who produced her. So I'm not even going after Amy Schumer. I'm going after, like, people that produce this crap.
Okay. Chris Rock. Who are your favorite comedians?
To watch?
Yeah.
No, obviously. I like Nick Griffin and Greer Barnes, who are not famous, but ooh, they are hilarious.
I'll check them out.
Yeah. They're solo comedians, I believe.
Seller?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Very funny.
And then we do have to wrap. We should wrap it up. We've been talking for 2 hours and 11 minutes. But I was wondering if you could tell me again that story that happened with your landlord stealing your shit.
Oh wow.
Do you not want to talk about that? Or
I'm kind of dealing with it, but I think one
Still
of the
happening?
yes. I am in a bad place with it, but I think one of the reasons, like we were talking about, being honest is dealing with it, and I'm kind of really happy that you asked me because it'll be like very therapeutic for me. Nobody asked me that. So during the summer, because I am a starving artist, so I just want to make this point: I can't afford jack shit. Like I literally, from what I make, I should be naked, starving, and homeless, right? But I am independent. I do pay rent, all my bills myself. Although I like to believe, Okay, moving on.
Wait, no. What were you gonna say?
You
Come
know
on.
what I was gonna say.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
That you could become a prostitute.
No,
Or that,
you knew
okay.
exactly what I was gonna say.
Or that
yes.
you'd find your caveman would finally come and hit you over the head.
You knew exactly what I was gonna say in
Okay.
every aspect.
Right.
I think you don't still give yourself credit. So, I survive by renting illegally without a lease. So I rent rooms illegally, and they're usually cheaper, right? So I got this deal, and I rented a room, and she flipped out one day and changed the lock on the door. And I had to go to court because I only lived there for 4 months. I didn't have a lease. I had to go to court to prove, and the judge believed me. And this is where it gets really, really bad. So she has a fiance who, as far as I know, is NYPD lieutenant, right? Who I guess guided her through this whole thing. They terrorized me for 4 months, I think, 3 months. That
Wait,
we
so
were
what is? I mean,
going to court. She
all
was
all
lying.
terrorizing
They
in
lied.
court. Not like in real life, just in court. Okay.
Yeah, this is an NYPD officer and his fiance testifying against me and lying, and the judge didn't believe them.
Nice.
So the way it got resolved, she stole all my stuff.
Yeah, she changed the locks. All your shit's locked in there because we were. That was
Right.
really the first time I really talked to you because I met you at Bazaar.
Right. So we were going through
it had
that.
just happened. You had no clothes. You had you were wearing your entire wardrobe.
Whatever I left the house in, absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they, I believe it's they, because they both testify. He was there with her all the time. So now I'm in this situation. I call cops, right, when I realized nothing there. They didn't make a report because they don't know if she took it. Right.
Yeah, there's
so
no, obvious crime.
right. So it seems like her fiance have guided her through every step to avoid, being a criminal.
Some
So
deliberate-
now I'm in this situation, and the responsibility is left on me to prove that she did that, which means I need a lawyer. I have contacted organizations for artists, which none of them accept me.
That sucks.
Right.
Yeah, you need some pro bono.
I have nothing and nobody accepts me. So I have I'm not even dealing with it. I'm struggling right now.
Lawyers mostly end up hurting you in the long run anyway.
I don't have a lawyer. I can't get a lawyer because I can't afford one. So I think I'm at a situation where I have to seek help through media. Hopefully, because I don't have resources.
What are you gonna do? Shoot yourself talking and put it out there, or try to go on the news?
I think I'm
Get a reporter to do a piece on you?
I think, but by doing that, you do expose yourself. It's it's a give and take kind of a thing. So I'm exhausted. All my options. I don't have any options. That's the way I feel my society is treating me right now, and hopefully that somebody will help me because I have no resources to deal with this.
You think she's taking your clothes and wearing them?
I think can I tell you something? She's crazy. And I don't mean to play down. I think she actually has something
Like a
disorder
mental health issue
that has never been diagnosed, and I don't know. And I guess this guy who spent 20 years serving, right? Police department, now he gets a pussy, and his logic goes out the window. Eventually I'm gonna get all of them. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna figure it out. That's because I'm a survivor one way or another. I'm going through a depression. It's a lot of things, but also it's in New York City. I'm gonna get them. Yeah, I'm gonna fight them and so on, but it's just a nightmare. It's really a nightmare.
That sucks.
All of my stuff is gone. Everything.
Well, I wish you luck with that. I don't know
Thank
what you're going to
you.
do. I don't know what I can do.
There's
If I think
nothing-
of any reporters that I know,
Yeah, there's really nothing that
I know people who
anyone
do
can-
pieces like this, but no one with like the access you need. You need some. I don't know what you need.
I need
Or who you need.
I need somebody to believe me.
Somebody with power, or somebody who
Some-
can
I
get
need
you
a good
in front of
lawyer,
somebody with
basically. I
power.
really just need a good lawyer.
They're probably out there too.
Yeah, but I can't pay one. That's what it comes down. Like I need.
But like the pro bono person who's out there who's willing to help you, they're out there.
Nope, not for me apparently.
Have you looked up any apps like
I
lawyer apps
Um,
specifically for this? I wonder if anyone's made that.
It works a little bit differently. Like a lawyer apps a little bit differently. But I have thought out help. I asked for help. It's
Yeah.
just I'm not getting it.
Damn. Bullshit. That is some shit to get angry about.
I mean, yeah, but I also live in the city. Like, there's stories of people fighting police and winning. Like, so I do feel optimistic. I think it's for now. It's just like they knew what they were doing. Like, he knew what he was doing.
I wonder if my old building, all the tenants got together to sue. Not. I'm mixing up stories. Where I used to live, there was a trash facility, and the whole neighborhood got together to fight the trash facility.
Why?
And it's a long, drawn out story.
Yeah.
And I don't. Why does it matter? But the New York lawyers for the public interest got involved, and they ended up taking the case.
Yeah,
for
I'm
free.
not public interest.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
not.
anything.
It's not public interest.
I'm not. I literally feel like I'm not anything.
You're not anything.
Yeah.
You are something.
Well, yeah,
Society
but
just
it's
has a way
like
of making you
I
feel like you're not
contacted free bono or lawyers for artists.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like my hard drives were stolen. I just don't think.
Oh, that would kill me.
That-
If my hard drive,
I'm not,
I would break the
please.
door down. I would get in there.
How
I would
about,
figure
like,
it out.
get in
I would,
where?
I would get
Like-
all my friends. I would get as
And
many
do
friends to
what?
break in and get
And
that
what?
shit.
And then go to jail for breaking and entering?
I don't know.
It's
I'd be
not- it's
smart
not-
about it.
How am I
As
so-
smart
like,
as I could
no,
be.
As what? As an NYPD lieutenant?
Right.
I can't be smarter than this guy. I'm not in that industry to start with.
It's crazy. Maybe I've just watched too many Batman movies and I've read too many
No,
comic
they-
books. I feel like I could do it. I
they-
feel like I could figure it out. It's horrible. I'm
I
making a
thought-
bad joke right now.
I'll be
This is
honest
bullshit.
with you. I'm educated and I studied law and even like fundamental stuff. I was like, what?
Yeah, you're being crazy fucked right now.
What?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but you just move on. We'll have another one of these sit downs, and I'll tell you what's happening.
Yeah. I'll keep asking.
We'll catch up.
All right. So, in closing, are you down to give advice to young people who haven't yet taken steps to make their dreams come true? What would you tell young people or creative people?
I will just tell
Wannabe comedians.
all people, like they say, be happy and do what you want. And obviously that's not a reality of things for a lot of different reasons for a lot of different people. So my advice to you is to find a way to do what you want. Like find a way. Whatever it is, whatever you think is holding you back, let it be your strength and inspiration, and just find a way.
Say that one more time.
Find a way.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. I didn't want to put that flash on.
Are you taping?
I'm gonna do a quick video of you saying
Okay.
"find a way." You
Should I
turn
just
off
say
this
that
flash.
whole thing over?
No.
Okay, so my advice is to find a way to do what you want to do. Just like find a way. Whatever it is, just find a way. Use whatever you think is your barrier to be your inspiration. I think so. You just have to find a way. That's what it is.
That's an interesting thought. The barrier is
Yeah.
your inspiration. Because
Yeah.
I know the People's Improv Theater, O'Henny taught me this. I think O'Henny or somebody told me their motto is "Go to the fear."
Yeah.
So it's like a similar thing. It's like there's a barrier.
I also feel when I'm like knocking on the door and I'm like, oh my God, that is a really cool party. All of that. Like, I really want to be part of this party. I want to be in that party. And I'm knocking on the door and like nobody opens the door. You know what I do? I start knocking louder, right? And then nobody hears me. So I start knocking even louder because I really want to be at that party. And then somebody opens the door and say, who are you? You know what? I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to somebody that knows me, who's going to let me into this party. party. So I feel like that's like find a way.
Yeah.
Just find
keep
a
doing
way.
that. Yeah,
Keep like.
You got to be persistent.
Right. It doesn't work out this way. Be louder, or like don't be loud, or try and find a way, but just find a way. But I always look at it as like, you know, I want to go to that party. There's a party behind that door. That's where I want to be. So it's kind of, you know, do that, like find a way.
Yeah. And yeah, if one person makes you feel like shit or says no or whatever it is, it's like, that's one person. Get around
Yeah,
them.
but there's also like wisdom into looking at who is trying to make you feel this way. Like often, if you just look at this person, like, you know, like move your emotion, right? Move your emotion and figure it out. Look at this person, say like, why are they trying to make me feel this way? And it's you, like we said, it's them.
Yeah, I mean, you might never know. It could be like
Yeah,
they just
but
had a
you
bad
know
day.
it's them.
It could be maybe they don't
So,
like your skin color,
Absolutely
whatever.
correct. So
but it has
usually
nothing to do with
it's
you.
not
really.
an insult.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was getting booed, right? Like she was booing me literally, you know. I had a great set.
Yeah.
We're good. Like
She's a weird one.
no, she didn't have a great set.
I think I missed her set. I don't know.
Yeah, you did. You were
Yeah.
there though, but you missed it.
I was out in the hallway during hers.
Yeah, it was a long set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. It's
Thanks.
great to know you. I love your comedy.
Thank you so
I
much.
encourage everyone to check you out.
Yeah,
We didn't talk about you modeling at all, but
No, yeah, you can actually look at my pictures.
you're
gonna
on
walk.
IMDb and
Yeah, I am gonna walk in the next.
I mean Instagram, not IMDb.
Instagram, yeah, and I'm gonna walk actually in next Fashion Week season.
Yeah?
In February. So yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, which is Upa in Space.
Which is also your
Upa
show?
in Space is my show.
That's your
It's
YouTube?
YouTube, everything is Upa in Space.
Are you on Facebook? I feel like I couldn't find
No,
Open
I don't
Space
like
on
Facebook too much.
Yeah, okay.
No,
Right.
thank you.
So anyway, just so you know, I put all those links in the description, so you can
Awesome.
follow her by just going into the description of wherever you're getting this podcast.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Let me give you a little handshake.
All right.
Nobody sees that, but I do it anyway.
Okay.
All right,
That's
Upa.
dope.
Thank you.
Thank you.